The school bully confessed to me. Just as I was about to refuse, I saw a line of bullet comments in the air. Agree to him. In the future, he will plunge into the sea of fire for you. The second male lead is so pitiful. He will never get the love he desires in his whole life. These words seemed to unlock something in me, making me recall everything that happened in my past life, forcing down the turmoil in my heart. I lifted my eyes to look at him. The school bully, who was always unruly, was as nervous as a child in front of me. Seeing that I didn't say anything, a trace of chagrin flashed across his face. I understand, Su-Zhen, I won't bother you anymore. As if I didn't hear him, I showed a sweet smile and threw myself into his arms. Ji Yunzhou, I promised to be your girlfriend. I am now, and I will always be. One. It seemed that I didn't use much strength, but he suddenly stumbled backward and leaned against the wall. What did you say? Su-Zhen, you, don't play with me. His tone was full of uncertainty, and his voice gradually lowered. My heart twitched, and the memories of my past life flashed through my mind. Every time I was swayed by Liu Bai, he rushed to accompany me and coax me. He had this exact expression on his face. The dense pain made my whole body go cold, and I hugged him even tighter. Then I looked up. The broken strands of hair on Ji Yunzhou's forehead fluttered with the breeze. His amorous peach blossom eyes lost some of their luster. My voice trembled. I'm not lying to you. Trust me, this time, we'll be together properly. He turned his head, and the line of his jaw tightened. Why are you saying these things? Why did you agree to me? The pain before my death in my past life and the panic of being reborn made the grievances piled up in my heart burst like a landslide. Ji Yunzhou, what are you asking? You confessed to me just now, didn't you? I agreed, but instead of being happy, you're asking me such questions. Big teardrops slid down my cheeks, and I was gasping for breath from crying. He panicked, and his limbs froze. It was as if he was holding a rare treasure. His arms lifted and then fell, not daring to touch me. Su-Zhen, don't cry. He lowered his head, his lips tightly pursed, his warm fingertips wiped across my cheeks. It doesn't matter. Even if you cry until you look like a little cat, you're still beautiful. In my heart, you are the most dazzling and precious. This sudden sentence made me unable to stop crying. The wind blew through the big hole in my chest. I understood why he had confessed to me. Yesterday in my past life, the school held a long-distance running competition. Just because Liu Bai casually said that the prize was nice, I desperately wanted to win the championship. I didn't like running, and my physical strength was poor. An 800-meter run could almost kill me, let alone a 3,000-meter long-distance run. But the eagerness to be praised by Liu Bai made me persevere. Although I fell twice on the plastic track and my knees were covered in blood and flesh, after getting the prize, I limped and cried as I went to find him. Sweat, tears, and dust mixed together, and my fair face was stained with black marks. When I entered the classroom, he was leaning against the wall, enjoying the air conditioning and drinking the fruit tea sent by another girl. I licked my dry lips and carefully handed him the prize. Liu Bai, you said it was nice, so I won it for you. He glanced at it casually. Did I say that? Why did you make yourself look like this? You're all dusty and not pretty at all. He looked at me again and frowned. As a girl, you should have some self-awareness. I don't like you, and I'm disgusted by everything you do. After saying that, he left, completely ignoring me. The mocking laughter of my classmates in the classroom was low, but I could still hear it clearly. The indescribable embarrassment made my cheeks flush red, and for many years after that, I was averse to running. Ji Yunzhou knew that I was brutally rejected, and he knew that I doubted myself because of those words, so he stopped me today and confessed to me, wanting to show me with his actions that in this world, there was someone who sincerely liked me and cared about me. I was worthy of being loved. Ji Yunzhou's love was not just talk, his feelings were real. And he wanted to surround me tightly, but in my past life, I didn't understand. His unexpected actions made me extremely sensitive, and I thought that he was also laughing at me. Pulling myself out of the memories, I wiped my face, looking at his thin lips that were so close. I took a deep breath and stood on tiptoe to kiss him. I wrapped my arms around his neck and lingered on his cold lips. He was like being under a spell and didn't move at all. Finally, I licked and bit him, and leaned against his arms, a little out of breath. He was still stiff all over. I couldn't help but curl the corners of my mouth and deliberately provoked him. Ji Yunzhou, where's the dignity of you being a school bully? Weren't you very arrogant when you stopped me just now? His hand slowly stroked my back. The corners of his peach blossom eyes were red, and emotions were surging in his eyes. Suddenly, I was pressed tightly against his chest. He fiercely claimed my slightly raised chin. Finally, we leaned against each other to calm our breaths. He spoke first, his tone pretending to be fierce. You know that I'm not a good person. Once you're with me, you won't be able to get rid of me. You're being mean to me. I kissed him again with a boop sound. Don't be mean to me, or I won't let you kiss me in the future. His face turned red, but he still stubbornly said, fine, then I won't kiss you. I blinked. It doesn't matter. I'm not afraid of you even if you're mean. I know you like me. He gritted his teeth, looking helplessly at me. His voice carried a hint of resentment. Suzanne, I don't know what's going on, but you're acting strange. Why are you looking at me when Liu Bai is around? If you want to play with me, then play with me for a long time. My heart ached when I heard this. Indeed, in my past life, my love for Liu Bai was well known. How could he believe me with just a few words? It doesn't matter. It's not too late. We have plenty of time, too. In the past, although Ji Yunzhou and I were in the same class, I never looked at him directly. The deepest impression I had of him was that he was late every day, and he swaggered into the class, holding his school uniform and reporting. And then there were the loud words of his name spoken by the headmaster at the monthly routine announcement meeting in the school. But this kind of person had silently guarded me for more than 10 years, from high school to university. And then when we started working, friends around me came and went, but he was always there. During that time, I refused him countless times, but he wouldn't leave. Sometimes, when I was in a good mood, I joked, Ji Yunzhou, I remember you were a school bully before. But you don't look like one at all now. You've changed a lot. In fact, he hadn't changed. He was only willing to endure everything and restrain his temper in front of me. I wasn't unaware of Liu Bai's hot and cold attitude towards me, but loving him had become a habit, and there was pain with every breath I took. When I was frustrated and went to the bar to get drunk, he listened to me repeating Liu Bai's name and pouring glass after glass of wine, saying nothing. When I vomited, he patted my back. When I refused to take the car, he carried me home step by step. In a half-drunk and half-awake state, his cold tears fell into my palm. He said, Suzanne, stop torturing yourself. Just look at me. Okay, I could hear him and feel his pain, but I couldn't give him a response. After that, I made up my mind to push him away. I couldn't delay him any longer. I said a lot of harsh words to him. I ignored all his pleas to stay. I will never forget that his tall figure, over 1.8 meters, hunched over and fell to the ground. Later, Liu Bai fell in love and got married. My dignity wouldn't allow me to pester him any longer. Not wanting to stay in this heartbroken place, I chose to go on a trip. The next time I met Ji Yunzhou was in the misty rain of Yangzhou's ancient city. He asked, what are you doing here? I said, mending my broken heart. He said, what a coincidence. Me too. We walked from summer to winter, from the ancient city to the snowy mountains. From the moment he held my hand for the first time during the trip and I didn't refuse, things between us got better and better, and we spent a sweet time together. Just when we were preparing to get married, I was kidnapped by Liu Bai's enemy. The abandoned factory building was filled with gasoline. He rushed towards me regardless of everything and hugged me tightly, saying, it's such a pity, we've just started. If there's another chance, I hope you can see clearly. Don't like him, like me. He paused. If you still don't like me, then find someone else. It doesn't matter who, as long as he treats you sincerely. That warm embrace and that gentle tone, I thought I would never feel them again. By the mercy of fate, I was given a chance to start over. When I died in my past life, my soul rose into the air, and I saw the secrets of this world. It turned out that this world was a sweet and doting novel. The male lead was my childhood friend, Liu Bai, but the female lead wasn't me, the childhood sweetheart. Instead, it was a repeat student who was about to transfer in. The affectionate second male lead, who made the readers feel sorry for him, didn't like the female lead. Instead, he liked me, the vicious supporting female character. It was written in the book that the female lead was gentle and aloof and didn't like to smile. The male lead found her very interesting and tried every means to amuse her. And finally, they fell in love. In fact, it wasn't like that. Liu Bai took a fancy to my family background and kept leading me on, emotionally abusing me and making me do a lot of things for him. In the end, I was kidnapped because of him, and Ji Yunzhou and I were burned to death in the fire. What was even more ridiculous was that the reason why he was with the female lead wasn't because of love as written in the book. It was because the female lead was outstanding and could make his company thrive. In fact, both she and I were pitiful, being played around by that scumbag. Xiaozhen, breakfast is ready. The aunt knocked on the door and came in. I was dazed for a moment and then smiled. Okay, tell the driver that I'll go to school now. She nodded and turned to go downstairs. I looked out the window at the lush green leaves on the branches. There was no need to regret the past. With precautions in this life, I would never give Liu Bai any chance. What worried me now was how to coax Ji Yunzhou. At this age, I couldn't use any extreme means. I originally wanted to have a low-key relationship, but I didn't expect this matter to be known to everyone. 3. A big news spread in Lizzie Middle School. Su Jin, the well-behaved girl, agreed to the confession of the school bully, Ji Yunzhou, yesterday. You know, Su Jin used to always follow her childhood friend, Lu Yubai, helping him occupy seats and delivering water. Being extremely attentive, our brother Lu is as heartless as iron. Su Jin can't keep licking him anymore, right? I think Su Jin just wants to stimulate him. Maybe if brother Lu gets angry, he will agree to her. Don't say that. Doesn't Su Jin deserve to have a sweet relationship? She likes Lu Yubai so much. How could she be in a relationship with someone else? When I came in, they were chatting animatedly. The person sitting at the front desk saw me and made a funny face with wide eyes and an open mouth. The class fell silent all of a sudden. Some people didn't even dare to look at me. They coughed softly and stiffly changed the topic. Even the class representative became cautious when collecting the homework. I calmly sat at my seat as if nothing had happened. But there were people who came to provoke me. Lu Yubai's seat was next to me. He had been staring at me since I sat down. Maybe he was waiting for me to go and coax him as I used to, speaking softly and begging him to talk to me. I sneered. In the past dozen years, I didn't seem like Lu Yubai's childhood sweetheart. Instead, I was more like his maid, doing everything for him and being at his beck and call. Logically speaking, with my personality, even if I liked him, I wouldn't fawn on him to such an extent. I thought that the influence of the plot was too strong. Maybe my expression was too indifferent. Lu Yubai couldn't sit still and stood up, knocking on my desk. I looked up at him impatiently. What do you want? He sighed and looked at me disapprovingly. Shinjin, you can't make me jealous like this. Don't ruin yourself. I found it ridiculous. Jealous? What's there for me to be jealous about you? Don't be duplicitous. Lu Yubai thought I was arguing. His expression softened, and he wanted to soothe me. One hand rested on my desk, and the other wanted to touch my head. All the hairs on my body stood on end, and my voice involuntarily grew louder. Lu Yubai, what are you doing? The classmates in the class had been secretly looking at us. Some even walked back and forth 5 times. As soon as I said that, their movements slowed down, and they all stared at us intently, with so many eyes watching. Lu Yubai felt as if he had thorns on his back. His hand hung in the air, not knowing whether to put it down or not, and there was embarrassment on his face. Even so, he still pretended. He shook his head disappointedly. Shinjin, why have you become like this? I came to coax you. So don't be stubborn. A girl should cherish herself, he said earnestly, and my patience is limited. Shinjin, you should know when to stop. How thick-skinned he was to think that I was trying to stimulate him. I looked him in the eye and said word by word. Listen carefully. I only say this once. I like Ji Yunzhou now and don't like you anymore. He looked at me as if he had heard something absurd and sighed. You're so stubborn. That scoundrel isn't worthy of your love. A scoundrel? How dare he call others a scoundrel? Remembering what he had done in my past life, I wanted to tear him apart. I stood up, ready to scold him. Suddenly, another voice fell forcefully into everyone's ears. I'm better than you even if I'm a scoundrel. It was Ji Yunzhou who had come. He carried his school bag on one shoulder and had his school uniform jacket hanging on his arm. He was tall and straight, and there was a sharp edge between his eyebrows and eyes. He walked over in 2 or 3 steps and threw his school bag at Lu Yubai's feet with a loud bang. I don't know what was in his school bag, but the ground shook. Lu Yubai's face showed a moment of pain, but his tone was frivolous and disdainful. With your behavior, you think you're better than me. Ji Yunzhou stared at him without speaking. The atmosphere in the class was strange. After all, the scene of the school bully confronting the top student wasn't common. Ji Yunzhou was only obedient in front of me. In fact, he had a bad temper. If someone deliberately provoked him, he would explode. They were waiting to watch the show and even hoped that Ji Yunzhou would punch Lu Yubai. But I was worried. This piece of trash, Lu Yubai, didn't deserve to make Ji Yunzhou get reported. I wanted to go and hold him back. Before I could move, Ji Yunzhou picked up his school bag and walked backward. Their shoulders collided, and he bumped into Lu Yubai hard. Move aside. A good dog doesn't block the way. I let out a sigh of relief. Just then, the bell for the morning self-study rang, and the homeroom teacher walked into the classroom with some documents. The classroom, which had been lively just now, fell silent. Everyone returned to their seats. Ji Yunzhou's desk was in the last row. When he walked past me, he glanced at me. I sat down and thought about it later. Was he feeling wrong just now? 4. The homeroom teacher clapped her hands on the podium. Classmates, the midterm exam is over, and now I will fulfill my promise. After she finished speaking, the class became even quieter. Everyone around me, even the whole class, secretly peeked at me. I unconsciously straightened my back. It had been too long. And I forgot what had happened today. Maybe I had done something earth-shattering before. Su-Jin, why aren't you moving? The homeroom teacher urged me. I stood up blankly, not knowing what to do. I subconsciously glanced backward. Ji Yunzhou looked at me nervously and expectantly. In a flash, I suddenly remembered that in my past life, the homeroom teacher came up with a bad idea to encourage us to study. She said that we would choose our seats according to our exam scores. And the one who got the first place could choose anyone in the class to be their deskmate. At that time, not many people liked this way of arranging seats. Only I was as excited as if I had been injected with chicken blood and wanted to get the first place just to be Liu Yubai's deskmate. Thinking about it now, I was really an idiot. I didn't say anything for a long time. Ji Yunzhou's expression darkened, and he lowered his head to play with the book in his hand. The chair beside me scraped against the floor tiles. Liu Yubai stood up and said, "Teacher, something happened this morning. Su-Jin had an argument with me. She may be a bit embarrassed now, but she always wanted to sit with me. Where's his face?" I was so angry that a normal person wouldn't say such things. There was a commotion in the class. Some boys who liked to watch the excitement cheered. Yes, yes, teacher, don't not believe it. Su-Jin studied like crazy just for this opportunity. I sneered. Teacher, Liu Yubai is used to being narcissistic. He always thinks that others do things for him. I got the first place just to live up to myself and have nothing to do with others. As for my deskmate, it's him. I pointed at Ji Yunzhou. Just right. I can tutor him and raise the average score of our class. The whoops and cheers in the class became even louder. So Su-Jin wants to raise the average score of our class. How great. The homeroom teacher patted the desk twice. Okay, Su-Jin has made her choice. Now the others can start choosing. After everything was done, the homeroom teacher stood on the podium and said meaningfully, "You are still at the age of studying. Don't be distracted. Getting into a good university is better than anything else." Su-Jin focuses on her studies and helps the classmates with lower grades. This kind of behavior is worthy of encouragement. After she finished speaking, she was about to go back to the office. When she reached the door, she suddenly remembered, "Liu Yubai, come to my office after class." Because of what he said just now, the homeroom teacher mistakenly thought that he liked me. Serves him right. Once he enters the office, he won't be able to come out peacefully. 5. After class, Liu Yubai's good friend came to me, whistled, and taunted. "Sister Su is awesome. You're good at distorting the truth." Liu Yubai, the good student, was called to the office for the first time. "I see that you're so indignant. Why don't you blow up the school to rescue him? What's the point of showing off in front of me?" I scolded him with a smile. They were about to say something. Ji Yunzhou, who was sitting outside, stretched out his leg and kicked the table aside. "What? Do you want to wait for me in the back alley of the school and have a fight?" As soon as he said that, their faces turned from green to white. They cursed in a low voice but didn't dare to say anything more. They pushed and shoved and left. The school bully really lived up to his name. With just one sentence, he scared them away. After they walked away, I whispered in his ear, "Now do you believe that I don't like Liu Yubai?" He didn't speak. I continued, "I've really turned over a new leaf. You can supervise me in the future." I rested my chin in my hand and looked at him. Suddenly, his cheeks burned, and even his neck and the back of his ears turned red. "I really like this innocent Ji Yunzhou." He turned his head uncomfortably and said fiercely, "Stop looking. I'm not as good looking as you." I laughed. "Okay, I won't look anymore. You haven't had breakfast, right? I brought 2 servings today." I took it out of the desk pocket and gave it to him. He glanced at the things in the lunchbox, a bottle of hot milk and a few custard buns. "Did you bring these for me on purpose?" He looked at me, his eyes pitch black. I didn't notice that something was wrong with him. "Who else would I bring them for if not you?" His voice was low. "I heard that you often brought these 2 things as breakfast for Liu Yubai. The aunt at home prepared them. I forgot to tell her not to make them anymore." I quickly explained, "It has nothing to do with Liu Yubai. If you don't want to eat them, forget it." I wanted to take the lunchbox back, but he pressed it down. The corners of his lips curled up slightly. "Since I've taken it, don't waste it." He lowered his head and looked at it for a while. His eyes were full of unclear emotions. He picked up the milk and drank it all in one gulp. After drinking it, he looked at me with a happy expression, like a big dog waiting to be praised. Maybe I found the right way to coax him. He reached for the custard bun, and I watched him eat quietly, but out of the corner of my eye, I saw the red rashes on his neck. I grabbed his hand. "Ji Yunzhou, what's wrong with you?" He scratched it indifferently. "I don't know. Maybe I was blown by the wind." I thought of his abnormal reaction when he saw the milk just now, and my heart tightened. "Are you allergic to milk?" He fell silent and was about to say something. I interrupted him, and my eyelashes trembled. "Don't lie to me." He held my hand. "I'm allergic." But it's the first time you prepared breakfast for me, and I want to eat it." My eyes turned red. "Are you stupid? We have plenty of time in the future. It's not a big deal this time. Will you bring me breakfast?" In the eyes. His eyes were shining brightly. Is Ji Yunjo's infatuation already at this level? Seeing that the red rashes on his neck were getting more and more, I pulled him up. "What are you still talking about? Hurry up and go to the hospital." 6. The doctor gave him an 4 drip. I accompanied him and sat on the infusion chair. His little finger scratched in my palm. "Are you leaving?" "Don't go. Stay with me." "Okay," I said softly. "I won't go." He relaxed his brows and interlaced his fingers with mine. Suddenly, he asked, "Su-jin, we'll be okay, right?" I pressed my lips to his palm. "Yes, we will be okay for a lifetime." I didn't wait for his response. The medicine took effect, and he fell asleep. There was a commotion from the outpatient building. I casually looked into the hall and was stunned. The female lead, Shin Weiwei, she hurried behind a doctor and reached out several times to grab the doctor's arm, but she was shaken off. She even knelt on the ground and begged for something, but all she got was the doctor shaking his head. I found out the whole story from the cleaning aunt. It turned out that Shin Weiwei's grandfather suffered from uremia. The grandparents who depended on each other couldn't afford the expensive medical bills. The hospital wasn't a charity shelter, so they were politely asked to leave. That's how the scene just now happened. I couldn't help but stand up and look at Shin Weiwei's back as she knelt on the ground crying. The emotions in my heart were surging. Shin Weiwei was a rare talent in mobile game program development. In the next few years, the mobile game industry would reach its peak. My fingers trembled. "Lu Yubai, I'm sorry, this time, I will take the lead." I gently placed Ji Yunjo's hand on the armrest and quickly walked towards the female lead. When I got close, she had stopped crying and buried her face in her palms. I looked at her quietly for a while and said, "Shin Weiwei." She slowly raised her head, revealing her red and swollen eyes, and looked at me warily. "Who are you?" I smiled sincerely and reached out my hand to her. "Hello, I'm Su-jin. I've heard of you. You won the gold award in the math, physics, and chemistry competition in the city last year." She dodged my hand, and her expression became even colder. "What do you mean?" I smiled brightly. "I can help your grandfather with his illness." She propped herself up and stood up. "There's no such thing as a free lunch. What do you want from me? I have the funds, and you have the technology. We can achieve a win-win situation through cooperation." I held her fingertips. "Trust me. I won't treat you unfairly like." She hesitated. "I'm just a bit better at studying. Don't have high expectations of me." I raised my eyebrows. "I trust my judgment." Time was running out. I called home and asked them to arrange the follow-up treatment for Shin Weiwei's grandfather. After hanging up the phone, I suddenly remembered. "Are you going to transfer to Lizzie Middle School tomorrow?" Shin Weiwei nodded. "Lizzie Middle School offers a high scholarship." I smirked and whispered in her ear, "Be careful of a person named Lu Yubai. He's a master at pretending and is a pervert." She looked serious and seemed to have taken it to heart. I couldn't delay any longer. If Ji Yunjo woke up and didn't see me, he would be angry. "I have something else to do. I'll go first," Shin Weiwei said. "Okay, see you at Lizzie tomorrow." 7. As I walked back, I was thinking about how to completely persuade my dad to fire the family driver, who was Lu Yubai's father. As soon as I entered the outpatient department, a gaze fell on me as if it had substance. Ji Yunjo had finished his 4 drip. He sat on the chair with his legs spread out, looking at me but not saying anything. I stopped in my tracks. I felt a bit guilty because I had promised to stay with him. He didn't move, but I had to. If I couldn't coax him today, I didn't know how awkward he would be tomorrow. I can explain. I saw an important person just now and went to meet her. "I'm back now," he said faintly. "Yes, everyone is more important than me. When we were together, you said all the nice words, but now that you've got me, you don't cherish me. I think you just want to play with me." I coughed twice. These words made me seem like a heartless woman. I quickly repented. I was wrong. There won't be a next time. His eyelashes drooped. "Su-jin, you know what kind of person I am, but I never dared to lose my temper in front of you. I'm afraid that you'll be angry and leave me." Damn it. This man really made me feel sorry for him. I wanted to pull him into my arms and comfort him, but he changed his pitiful look and stood up. The sunlight couldn't penetrate his broad back, and the shadow slowly engulfed me. He pinned me against the wall. I had no way to escape. His tone was dangerous. "Su-jin, you used to say that you like small cute dogs. I pretended to be good and be your dog in front of you, but in the end, I'm not as important as that person." This person was so jealous. I leaned close to his mouth and sniffed. It was milk for breakfast. How did it turn into vinegar? He pushed my forehead away with one finger. "Cut it out. Remember, I'm the most important person to you, apart from your parents." He already was. the image of him hugging me tightly and mumbling to himself before I died in my past life flashed through my mind. If he didn't know, I would say it again and again. You already are. I pressed my cheek against his, like a sigh. I said, Ji Yunjo, I love you. 8. Since I said those 3 words, Ji Yunjo became even more clingy, except for going to the toilet. He followed me everywhere, although I felt a bit helpless sometimes. Which girl could resist the feeling of being treated like a treasure in someone's heart? Even my friends who usually played well with me couldn't stand it. The 2 of you are so clingy all day long. Have you ever considered the feelings of the onlookers? It makes me want to fall in love too. I warned her. No, puppy love will delay your studies. Do you still want to get into university? She laughed. You're being inconsistent. The bell for the morning reading rang, and the homeroom teacher brought Shin Weiwei into the classroom. She introduced. This is the new transferred classmate, Shin Weiwei. Let's give her a round of applause. There was a sparse round of applause in the class, and curious eyes fell on Shin Weiwei. I saw a glimmer of light flash in Liu Yubai's eyes, who had been gloomy for a long time, because he smelled the same kind of breath. Lizzie Middle School was a private high school. Most of the students here came from wealthy families. There was also a small number of students who were specially recruited by the school to ensure the enrollment rate, just like Shin Weiwei. In fact, Liu Yubai didn't belong to either group. His father begged my family to let him in. When his father was driving for my family, he had a car accident and lost a leg. My father felt guilty and treated them like benefactors. This family was really good at acting. They took advantage of my family's guilt for more than 10 years. Liu Yubai's food, clothing, and daily expenses were comparable to mine, and the classmates in the class thought he was a rich second generation. I never exposed him because I liked him before, but sometimes, he really didn't deserve my kindness. Shin Weiwei was arranged to sit next to Liu Yubai. Liu Yubai was both inferior and conceited. He looked down on the rich second generation who squandered money, but he was jealous of them. Shin Weiwei came at the right time. He should be looking forward to seeking comfort with someone of the same kind, but he was destined to be disappointed. I was right. Liu Yubai used the clumsy way of flirting that he learned somewhere, trying to make Shin Weiwei, the unsophisticated country bumpkin in his eyes, fall in love with him. In this life, Liu Yubai was too aggressive, and I had given Shin Weiwei a heads up. Shin Weiwei was completely unmoved and even found him annoying. When he passed a note to Shin Weiwei for the 3rd time during class, she erupted. She stood up in class and said loudly, Ji Yunzhou, just because you don't want to study doesn't mean I don't. Please restrain your behavior. In full view of everyone, Liu Yubai lost his mind. I'm giving you face by taking a fancy to you. Don't be ungrateful. He probably mistook her for me in the past. Only I would be servile to him. My phone vibrated. It was a message from the secretary of my family. Liu Yubai's father had been fired. The worm that had been in my family for years was finally removed. Liu Yubai. I called out to him and smiled gently at him. I had to deliver this fatal blow. Your father has been fired by me. From now on, all the resources of my family have nothing to do with you. With a bang, Liu Yubai, with red eyes, pushed over all the desks in front of him. He was hysterical. What did you say, Su Jin? How dare you? I had already planned to use your family as a stepping stone to cross classes. What right do you have to drive me away without my permission? He roared at me unreasonably. Liu Yubai, I think I've been kind enough. I know you haven't done anything yet, so I haven't cut off your means of living. You'll just be an ordinary white-collar worker all your life, working from 9 to 5, facing the crisis of going bald and having a big belly in middle age, and struggling with daily necessities. In my past life, Ji Yunzhou and I both lost our lives, but all he had lost was the status of a much-admired CEO and became an ordinary person. What was there to be aggrieved about? The more I said, the more excited I became, and I couldn't control my emotions. Ji Yunzhou stood silently behind me and hugged me. He was always my strongest support. I knew that a cornered dog would jump over the wall, but I didn't expect Liu Yubai to be so bold as to break into my villa. He had lived here for more than 10 years, and it was easy for him to do something and avoid the security. When I came out of the bathroom, he was sitting on the bed. When he saw me, he grinned and knelt down on his knees with a thud. Shinjin, I'm here to admit my mistake. I was wrong before. I'll change. Can we make up? He crawled 2 steps closer to me. Shinjin, I just realized that I love you. I wasn't particularly alarmed. Liu Yubai, you're the best at pretending. You even believe your own act. Look at you now. You have no backbone at all. There was a fake look of pain on his face. What's the use of backbone? The most important thing is to win you back. His confession and his pretentious attitude made me feel extremely disgusted. Fortunately, the police came quickly. They didn't make me suffer any longer, and Liu Yubai was taken away. 10. Later, Liu Yubai disappeared from my sight. Ji Yunzhou and I were successfully admitted to the same university. Our parents on both sides had met, and we were going to get married after we graduated from university. The white veil covered my blurry eyes. In these 2 lifetimes, I finally put on the wedding dress I had dreamed of and married the person I loved the most. End of the main text. Extra from the male lead's perspective. Past life. 1. When I received a call from the staff of the bar. I had just got home after working overtime, exhausted, the moment I saw that it was from Suzhen on the caller ID. Uncontrollable surprise welled up in my heart. She had always pushed me away, and she hadn't called me for a long time. I quickly pressed the answer button, but it wasn't Suzhen's voice on the other end. Is this Mr. G? We are the staff of Duzhou Bar. Miss Su is drunk. Your phone number is the only one that can get through on her phone. Would you be able to come and pick her up? Drunk again. My heart ached. What had Liu Yubai done this time? I didn't want to see the woman I loved get drunk because of someone else, but if I could control my feelings, it wouldn't be love. 2. When I rushed to the bar, Suzhen was already dead drunk. She was lying on the bar counter with a flushed face, mumbling something. I leaned over and picked her up, and I heard clearly what she was saying. She said, Liu Yubai, what's wrong with me? Sourness filled my nose, and I couldn't catch my breath. I silently carried her to the car. She half opened her eyes and saw a small pendant on the center console. She laughed. It's so ugly. I said, it is ugly, but there was a fool who tried every means to win it back and give it to someone. In the end, I picked it up from the trash can. Suzhen seemed to think of something and fell silent. After a while, she started making a fuss and said she didn't want to take the car. I had no choice but to carry her on my back and walk back step by step. The weight on my back was the feeling I had longed for a long time. I walked slowly, and even a passing child said, wow, this big brother is so nice. Yes, I'm really nice. Why can't you feel it? Suzhen. The sand and wind stung my eyes, and cold tears rolled down my cheeks. Suzhen, stop torturing yourself. Just look at me. It was quiet on my back, and I didn't get any response. After that, my relationship with her hit rock bottom. She said a lot of harsh words that she thought were mean. I knew she wanted to keep a distance between us. I couldn't bear to let her worry more, so I took the initiative to stay away from her. 3. I heard that Baohua Temple in Yangzhou was very famous, especially for praying for marriage. I knelt in front of the Buddha for a whole day and got the result that we were destined not to be together. Big teardrops rolled down my cheeks, and I was gasping for breath from crying. Sue, I've read 999 volumes of scriptures and kowtowed 3,000 times. Buddha, please listen to me. 4. Later, Liu Yubai got married. I met Suzhen in Yangzhou, and she didn't look well. I didn't dare to approach her rashly, for fear of making her disgusted. She was sitting in front of the corridor, caressing the misty rain. I closed my eyes, and finally couldn't help it. I held an umbrella over her. She turned around and looked at me, and there was a hint of surprise in her eyes. We walked from summer to winter, from the ancient city to the snowy mountains. From the moment she didn't refuse me to hold her hand during the journey, things between us got better and better, and we spent a sweet time together. She was even willing to marry me. At that moment, my world fell apart, but she was kidnapped. The abandoned factory building was filled with gasoline, and the fire started. She was curled up on the ground all alone. This was what destined not to be together really meant. My heart ached as if it was being torn apart, and there was only one thought left in my mind. I couldn't make her wait any longer. She must be very afraid. I rushed over regardless and hugged her tightly. I said, what a pity. We've just started. If there's another chance, please open your eyes and don't like him, like me. I paused. If you still don't like me, find someone else. It doesn't matter who. As long as he treats you sincerely, Suzhen, we can have another chance. This time, you will definitely live a fulfilling life. Story 2. Shurji is my stepbrother. I thought he disliked me because he was indifferent to me, so I deliberately picked on him everywhere. It wasn't until after I died, my soul followed him to the basement. I watched as he kissed me in the room covered with my photos, put a ring on me, and then committed suicide. Only then did I realize, he didn't dislike me, he was crazy in love with me. I was reborn for another life. When he asked me what I wanted to do again, I lowered my head and kissed him. I want to fall in love with you. Later, the situation reversed. I ran out of the bathroom covering my waist, but I was grabbed back with great force. In front of the mirror, the corners of my eyes were red, and I felt extremely wronged. Can I quit this relationship? No way. Be good. I'll be gentle. Let's do it one more time. Double reincarnation. 1. After I drowned in the sea, my soul didn't dissipate immediately. Instead, it floated in the air, watching as my body was fished out. There were a lot of people around. My mother was among them. Crying on my stepfather's shoulder, I clicked my tongue, forcing down the sourness in my heart. I pretended to be relaxed and said, "You always scolded me. Now that I'm dead, do you regret it? Hey, if you feel so guilty, are you going to find a good geomantic burial site for me? You were stingy with me when I was alive. You should be more generous to me now that I'm dead." As I thought about it, I started to feel amused. This time, my mother will finally have to spend a lot of money. Why did she always spend money on my stepbrother when I'm her biological son? But the next second, I froze. I saw my stepbrother, Shurji. Suddenly, he rushed out from nowhere, pushed everyone aside, and held my body in his arms. No matter how others tried to persuade him, he wouldn't let go. He was about to leave while holding my body. My mother cried even louder. My stepfather rushed forward to stop him. But when he heard that my mother had fainted from crying, he went back to take care of her. Just like that, my body was taken away by Shurji. I was stunned. I watched as he put my body in the car and drove all the way home before I came to my senses. I was so angry that I started cursing. Realizing that he couldn't hear me, I became even angrier. Fine, you didn't show me a good face when I was alive, and now you won't even let me rest in peace after I'm dead, right? I knew Shurji disliked me, but I didn't expect him to dislike me so much, too. We were in the same class in high school. He was a top student, the first in the grade, and the teacher's favorite. As for me, I was called the school bully euphemistically. To put it bluntly, I was a good-for-nothing hooligan. If it weren't for my good painting skills, I probably wouldn't even be able to reach the admission line of a third-rate university. We were originally two people with no intersection, but in our sophomore year of high school, my mother married his father. He became my stepbrother. After learning this news, the look in his eyes when he looked at me became even colder. I'm not someone with a good temper. I hate it the most when others show me a bad face. I stared back at him on the spot. Since then, whenever we met, we would definitely confront each other, and we would even have a fight from time to time. Every time this happened, the teacher would talk to me and ask me to bring my mother in. After my mother knew about it, she would scold me. She was like a mother hen protecting her chicks. Afraid that Shurji would be wronged, I even suspected that Shurji was my mother's biological son and that I was picked up by her from the trash can. After being scolded like this, I was even more annoyed with Shurji. He couldn't stand me. He disliked me. I deliberately got close to him, picked on him, and annoyed him. When he was unhappy, I would be happy. He looked down on my poor academic performance. In my senior year of high school, I secretly studied really hard. Plus, the cultural score requirements for art students were low, so I managed to get into the Fine Arts department of University A. But things didn't go as I had hoped. Although Shurji and I were in the same university but in different majors, we were still assigned to the same dormitory. We argued for another 4 years. I finally managed to graduate and thought I wouldn't have to face that cold face anymore. But then I was drowned. Just thinking about it makes me so angry. 3. I followed behind Shurji and watched as he carried my body into the basement. I had lived in this house for so long. The basement had always been locked, and I had never been in to take a look. Shurji casually pressed the switch. The lights instantly illuminated the entire basement. After seeing the layout of the room clearly, I was stunned. Then I widened my eyes. The walls were covered with my photos. Starting from high school, there were photos of me in class, playing basketball, taking a nap on the desk, all kinds of them, hundreds in total. He took all these photos secretly. However, before I could be surprised, I saw him place my body on the large bed in the middle. He even changed me into a new set of clothes. He mumbled to himself, "I know you hate the feeling of being wet the most. Every time you get caught in the rain, you can't wait to rush back and take a shower immediately." He silently adjusted my body. His expression was calm. It was as if I wasn't dead but just asleep. After tidying me up, he stared at me for a long time. Finally, he took out a ring from the drawer and put it on my finger. I recognized that ring. It was the same as the one on his hand. At that time, I even taunted him, asking if a bookworm like him could find a girlfriend. After hearing that, he gave me a meaningful look. Rarely, he didn't argue with me. I didn't want to make myself look stupid, so I didn't keep asking. Now that I think about it, the way he looked at me back then wasn't innocent. After putting on the ring, the tips of his ears turned completely red. He carefully lowered his head and kissed me gently. He whispered, "Jeon Yubai, there is someone in this world who loves you. I love you." After saying that, he hugged me and slit his wrist to commit suicide. Looking at this scene, I pursed my lips. I couldn't hold it in anymore, and tears silently rolled down my face. I cried. The night something happened to me, I had a big argument with my mother. It was as if I wanted to vent all the grievances I had accumulated over the years, saying all kinds of harsh words. I said she didn't love me at all. She had my stepfather and Shurji in her eyes, but never me. There was no one in the world who loved me. After venting, I slammed the door and left. I wanted to go to the beach to relax, but I encountered a heavy rainstorm and high tide, and I was dragged into the sea and drowned. This fool doesn't think I committed suicide, does he? He even committed suicide for love with me. At this moment, I suddenly realized, Shurji didn't dislike me, he was crazy in love with me. When I opened my eyes again, my soul turned into a physical body. Shurji, who had just committed suicide while holding me, was now sitting in front of me perfectly fine. His expression was cold. I was stunned. I couldn't help but stare at Shurji for a while, and then I glanced around the empty classroom. I still felt it was incredible, so I simply reached out and pinched Shurji's face. After seeing his furrowed brows, I let go of my hand. Was I reborn? Was this not a dream? And judging from this situation, I was reborn to the time just after the military training in my freshman year. I sat on Shurji's desk, looking down at him. Shurji wasn't angry even though I pinched him. Instead, he looked at me with burning eyes. After a long while, I heard him ask in a hoarse voice, "What do you want to do again?" That's right, in the past 6 months, our relationship was at its worst. Every time I came, I would pick on him. And I would also mock him unilaterally a few times, but this time, the provocative words circled in my mind and turned into, "I want to fall in love with you." Upon hearing this, Shurji froze all over. He stared at me steadily. There were emotions in his eyes that I couldn't describe: madness, struggle, fervor, and a hint of darkness. After a moment, he regained his calm. I saw Shurji's Adam's apple move, and he uttered 2 words, "No." "Why?" I blurted out instinctively. "Don't you love me to death? Why don't you want to be in a relationship with me?" Before I could figure it out, Shurji picked up his school bag and stood up, but he was obviously in a good mood. Before leaving, he hooked my palm. "You haven't chased me yet. If I let you get me too easily, you won't cherish me." Damn it, what nonsense about not cherishing. I stared fiercely at his back, but when I saw his red ears, I couldn't help but laugh. Was Shurji at the age of 18 really this innocent? Then don't make me chase you for too long. You know I don't have much patience. Okay, 5. I had never been in a relationship before. I didn't know how to chase someone, so I simply opened the chat window with Yu Jingchuan. He was my best friend in high school. There were always many girls around him. He changed girlfriends one after another. He must know how to chase someone. How do I chase someone? Teach me. As soon as I sent the message, 3 question marks immediately appeared on the other side. You're amazing, Yuzi. So many pretty girls confessed to you in high school. But you didn't agree to any of them. I even thought you were gay. I didn't expect you to fall in love just after starting college. But with your looks, do you even need to chase? What's wrong? Does that girl look down on you? Me? Why does this guy talk so much nonsense? The more you talk, the more mistakes you make. I'm not planning to come out of the closet right now. Do you understand the sense of ritual? Hurry up and tell me. All right, Yu Jingchuan said a lot. I glanced through it and more or less remembered it. When I got back to the dormitory, Shurji had already read dozens of pages of his major textbook. When he saw me come back, he didn't even raise his head. He just said indifferently, "You finally decided to come back." The words I had prepared suddenly wouldn't come out. In my previous life, I didn't know he liked me. Every time I heard his sarcastic words, I would get so angry that I had to retort to feel better. But now that I know, when I hear these words again, there's a strange sense of jealousy and intimacy in them. I coughed twice and handed him the bag of snacks I bought. "These are for you." Yu Jingchuan said that there are 3 things you must give when chasing someone: breakfast, snacks, and gifts. It was already late at night, so the only thing I could give was snacks, but Shurji didn't take them. I raised my eyebrows, not understanding what he meant. "Don't you like them?" Shurji paused. He picked out a piece of chocolate from the bag. "You can eat the rest. I only want this one." "Are you sure?" "Sure." I nodded and was about to leave with the remaining snacks, but the next second, I was grabbed around the waist and pressed onto the desk. The snacks were casually thrown aside. The man held my waist with one hand and slowly rubbed against my shirt in a flirtatious way. It felt numb. It was itchy. My breathing became heavier. I squirmed restlessly, trying to break free from him. Then I heard him let out a muffled groan. The hand holding my waist tightened even more. "Don't move. Be good." Sensing something, I froze. I said a bit uncomfortably, "What are you doing? I haven't even caught up with you yet." "I know." I heard Shurji's slightly hoarse soft laugh in my ear. "I just can't help it. Let me kiss you first." 6. Before I could react, a touch of softness pressed against the side of my neck. It touched and then left immediately, but it was still burning hot. My heart was beating so fast that it was scary. I covered my neck and lowered my head, not daring to look at him. but he handed the chocolate to me. Feed me. Me, he's such a big guy. Does he really need someone to feed him chocolate? I didn't understand. I gave him an annoyed look. I tore open the bag, broke off a piece of chocolate, and stuffed it into his mouth. My fingertips brushed against the corner of his lips. It was like an electric shock. I wanted to take my hand back, but he grabbed my wrist and didn't let go until he bit the chocolate in. Looking at the triumphant smile in his eyes, I suddenly realized, damn it, I was flirted with. 7. I couldn't stay there anymore. I took my toiletries and fled to the bathroom like I was running for my life. In the next half month, with a lot of classes and various things in the student union, Sergey was extremely busy every day. The way he looked at me became much more resentful. I was happy to be relaxed, but on Saturday, I couldn't laugh anymore. I pointed at Sergey's bed that was soaked with water and said through gritted teeth, "Did you do this on purpose?" Sergey looked innocent. How could I? I really didn't hold the cup steady. Sergey and I lived in a double dormitory, and there were only 2 beds. His bed was wet and he couldn't sleep on it, so he could only squeeze onto the same bed as me. After a moment of stalemate, I finally gave in. Whether it was on purpose or not, I couldn't let him sleep on the floor, but before going to bed, I repeatedly reminded him, "Don't move around or touch me randomly, or I'll beat you to death." Last time he flirted with me using the chocolate, I knew that even in this new life, this guy was still very scheming. Sergey agreed readily, but when he actually squeezed onto the same bed as me, things were different. The bed in the school was very small. It wasn't even spacious enough for one person to sleep, let alone 2 guys over 8 meters tall. I turned my back to him. I could even feel the shiver of his breath spraying on my neck. His arm was draped over my waist. It was as if he wanted to encircle me in his arms from behind. He held my fingers in his hand and played with them casually. He seemed to really like my hands. He always praised my hands for being slender and long. He said they were hands born to hold a paintbrush. Whenever he was with me, he would hold my hand. Once I was annoyed by him. I couldn't help but ask him, "Sergey, be honest, do you have some thoughts about my hands?" What did he say at that time? Oh, he said, "I do." 8. Sergey has a thing for hands. I wasn't surprised at all. With his crazy behavior of secretly taking hundreds of my photos and pasting them all over the basement, having a thing for hands even seemed like a very normal hobby to me. But now I regret it. If you don't want to sleep, get out of the bed. We were too close to each other. We were both in the prime of our youth. It was hard not to get aroused. I had already tried to lean against the wall as much as possible. Damn it, he still pressed against me. And in this new life, I don't know if it's just my illusion, but Sergey has become smarter. He used to be cold, withdrawn, and sharp-tongued. That's why we always argued. Now he talks in a sly and coquettish way, always pretending to be round and pitiful, like a black-hearted white lotus. Jiang Yubai. I'm feeling uncomfortable. Endure it if you're uncomfortable, I said impatiently. Sergey didn't say anything. He lowered his head and buried it on my shoulder. After a while, this damn guy not only didn't stop, but he became even more excessive. I couldn't help but sit up directly. I grabbed his arm and was about to pull him up too. Take a cold shower before the power is cut off. Hurry up. Sergey didn't move. His eyes were fixed on my hand. He looked a bit dejected. Fine, I'll go right now. I knew you don't like me. You just feel sorry for me. Indeed, how could anyone like a crazy person like me? Me? I could hear the self-mockery in his words. I felt rather uncomfortable inside. Suddenly, I remembered that in my previous life, he had shown his love for me countless times, but when I was confused, he would wrap himself in indifference. He only dared to secretly pour out his feelings while holding my body after I died. Sergey is a crazy person. He's also a coward. Thinking of this, I let out a sigh. I softened my heart again, just this once. After saying that, I reached in. 9. Sergey was really going too far. My hand was already sore, but it still wasn't enough. I kicked his leg. Come on, that's enough. I have to go to the art studio tomorrow. Upon hearing this, Sergey's breathing became heavier. It was finally over. I clicked my tongue softly. I didn't even need to guess to know what was on his mind. Just as I was about to laugh at him for being a serious hand fetishist, he pressed me against the corner of the bed and covered my mouth. This kiss was not like the previous fleeting one. This kiss was dense and passionate. I almost lost my self-control. When the kiss ended, I leaned against the wall, gasping for breath, my mind blank. By the time I felt Sergey's hand causing trouble, it was already too late. In a trance, I heard Sergey chuckle softly. Once for each person. We're even now. We're even my ass. I was the one being taken advantage of both times, but looking at the joy in his eyes, I still didn't curse out loud. Forget it. After all, I like him. 10. After that night, the atmosphere between us changed. No wonder couples all like the ambiguous period. it's really sweet. It was supposed to be me chasing Shurji, but it was him who brought me breakfast, accompanied me to class, and saved seats for me in public classes. Shurji majors in finance, and his class schedule is packed. He always complains that he can't attend my classes. At the end of the day, we can only meet when we get back to the dormitory at night. Fortunately, I'm in the fine arts department, and I have fewer classes than him. When I don't have classes, I go to accompany him to his classes. After more than a month, the people in his class are almost familiar with me. I calculated the time. It's been several months since I said I would chase Shurji. It's time to confess my love. Coincidentally, there's a gathering of the student union in Shurji's college this Saturday. I guess he'll be back very late. It's enough time for me to prepare a surprise. But I didn't expect that Shurji got drunk on the day of the gathering. When I received a call from his minister, I was a bit stunned. The minister also sounded a bit helpless. There's no way. He's drunk and insists that you come to pick him up. Okay, I hung up the phone. I grabbed my coat and headed out. Shurji has always been self-disciplined. In the many years I got along with him in my previous life, I never saw him drunk. No, there was probably one time. It was the graduation ceremony. After it ended, I went to have a meal with some friends. Shurji and his friends were also having a gathering in that restaurant. He was drunk. He came over and hugged me tightly, not letting go. He mumbled, "Why do you dislike me so much? Please don't dislike me. Okay, I like you. I like you so much, so much." I thought he had a crush on some girl and was experiencing a one-sided breakup, and I even wanted to laugh at him, but seeing that he was so sad that he was about to cry, I just teased him with one sentence. It turns out that our top student Shurji isn't that popular with girls either. Now that I think about it, he wasn't talking about some other girl, he was clearly talking about me. 11. When I arrived at the private room, I immediately saw Shurji sitting in the corner. He was drunk, but he wasn't causing trouble. Instead, he was a bit cute. "You're sitting here all alone, you're so pathetic. Come on. Big brother is here to take you home." After saying that, I reached out my hand to him. Shurji looked up at me. While pulling my hand, he retorted, "I'm the big brother." Tisk, fine, you're my ancestor. I'm really dissatisfied with the fact that Shurji is my stepbrother. He's only 1 day older than me. Why is that? Now I can't even take advantage of him verbally, so I pursed my lips in boredom. The next second, he suddenly hugged me tightly. He gently bit my earlobe. Looking at the other senior students in the private room who were chatting, my scalp went numb. I wanted him to stop fooling around. Then I heard him whisper in my ear, "I'm not your ancestor, I'm your boyfriend." Afraid that he would say something even more astonishing, I quickly covered his mouth. I greeted the minister and the others and then took him away. Shurji didn't want to take a taxi and insisted on walking back to school. I was too lazy to argue with a drunk person, so I pulled him and walked towards the school. In the north in November, there aren't many people out at night. Shurji was walking in front alone, staggering as he walked. His back looked a bit lonely. I couldn't help but follow him, but he wrapped me in his arms with one hand. Shurji buried his head on my shoulder, and his voice carried a suppressed sob. "You always said you didn't want to be in a relationship and thought it was troublesome to chase someone. When I chased you, you didn't respond. So why can't you chase me for once? Once you chased me, I would have agreed." My heart softened. I immediately said, "I did chase you. I've been chasing you for several months, and it's been really hard. So, Shurji, will you be my boyfriend?" In response to me, he put a ring on my hand. Okay. I glanced at the style of the ring and stopped. I felt an indescribable feeling in my heart. This ring is exactly the same as the one Shurji put on my hand after I died in my previous life, so he bought it so early. 12. Although Shurji was drunk, he was still a drunk person with the ability to take care of himself, except for insisting on hugging me to sleep after taking a shower. He was quite well behaved. In the morning, I was awakened by the smell of food. Shurji had already tidied himself up and was sitting on the chair, flipping through an album. Thinking of the content of the album, my face turned red, and I quickly slipped away to wash up. For a confession, you always have to give something. I didn't know what he liked, so I painted an album for him. Most of the paintings in it were of him. There were also a few paintings of the two of us. Whether in my previous life or this life, we had never taken a group photo. With these paintings, we can be considered to have group photos. When I came out, it seemed that Shurji had finished looking at the album. He was lowering his head, and I didn't know what he was thinking. I didn't disturb him either. I silently went to rummage through the breakfast on the table. But as soon as my hand touched the soy milk, I was hugged from behind by Shurji. The man's voice was a bit muffled. "Thank you, I like it very much." I let out a sigh of relief. I raised my hand and touched his head. "Come over and eat quickly. The food is almost cold." This meal was extremely difficult to eat. Shurji was too close to me. He kept touching me. And when I slapped him, the cup also fell over. The soy milk spilled all over both of us, me, biting back the urge to curse. I took off my sweater and walked towards the bathroom. The moment before the door closed, it was pushed open again. Looking at Shurji, who was also shirtless, I took a wary step back. "What do you want to do?" Upon hearing this, Shurji put on a pitiful expression. He was like a deserted big dog. "I want to take a shower with my boyfriend." 13. When I heard the word boyfriend, I hesitated for a moment. Just in this gap, I was pressed against the wall by Shurji. The cold tiles were against my back, making me shiver. The hot water flowed down. Along with it, there was also Shurji's burning and forceful kiss. The air was gradually being taken away. My mind couldn't even react. At this moment, Shurji was like a seductive fairy, relying on his good looks and a great figure with broad shoulders, a narrow waist, and 8-pack abs. He set fires all over my body and flirted with me wantonly. I wanted to push him away, but he gently bit my collarbone, as if he was afraid of hurting me. A dense series of kisses immediately landed on the same spot. The man looked at me with his wet eyelashes. Cautiously, his voice was hoarse. "Is it okay?" I didn't answer. He kept asking, and his voice became more and more pitiful each time. My rationality collapsed. I fell for it again. I raised my hand to cover my eyes in frustration, and said in a self-destructive manner, "Fine, fine, hurry up." Less than 2 hours after I said that, I regretted it. Is Shurji a mad dog? I ran out of the bathroom covering my waist, but I was grabbed back with great force. In front of the mirror, my chin was forced to lift up. In my ear was the man's dangerous and restrained voice. "Baby, be good, look up, see clearly who's fucking you now." Tears couldn't stop flowing out. I couldn't bear it and bent my waist, feeling extremely wronged. "Can I quit this relationship?" "No way, honey, I'll be gentle. Let's do it one more time." "Okay." I gave him a resentful look, but I softened my heart again because of his calling me honey. "Forget it, just this once." At noon that day, we even missed lunch. From the bathroom to the bed, I was coaxed and bullied by him again and again. In the last second before losing consciousness, I couldn't help but curse. Liar. 14. After regaining consciousness, I was so angry that I didn't let him get on the bed for a week. Shurji knew he was in the wrong and didn't provoke me again. He would just come to ask for kisses when there was no one around. Shurji became more and more clingy. He even wanted to be with me during the final review week. Seeing that the winter vacation was coming soon, my mother specifically called to remind me not to be petty and not to bully Shurji. This time, I must bring him home with me. I perfunctorily agreed, after hanging up the phone. I still felt a bit uncomfortable. "Are you kidding me? Your son is the one who's being bullied." "Okay." In high school, Shurji and I were in the same class, but not in the same dormitory. Every time my mother asked me to take care of him and go back with him, I refused. I always left early every time. Now that I think about it, I might not have disliked Shurji at that time. I was jealous of him. I was holding a grudge in my heart. Why is it that in this reorganized family, he has both his father's and mother's love, while I'm the only poor thing who's neither loved by my father nor my mother? Thinking like this, my mood became even worse. The next second, an ice cream cone was stuffed into my mouth. I instinctively looked up and realized that I didn't know when Shurji had stood behind me. Our eyes met. He suddenly leaned in and kissed the corner of my lips. He smiled. "It's so sweet." My face immediately turned red. I lowered my head and pretended to eat the ice cream cone seriously. Shurji didn't expose me. Instead, he hugged me from behind and kissed my ear again and again. Just as I couldn't stand it and was about to push him away with a slap, I heard him say, "Jeong you bye. I will love you very much, more than anyone else, so, don't be unhappy." At that moment, the emotions that had been pent up in my heart suddenly disappeared for no apparent reason. 15. My mother didn't expect that we would really go home together this time. She was really surprised for a while, but when she saw Shurji carrying a bunch of luggage walking behind me, her expression wasn't very pleasant. She pointed at me and started scolding. I said, "Why you become so obedient? It turns out you made Shurji carry all the luggage by himself. You naughty child. Didn't I tell you not to bully him? Look at you." As she scolded, she also pretended to come over and pinch my ear. I was used to it, but my mother didn't manage to pinch me because someone blocked her. Shurji had a cold expression and protected me behind him. He said calmly, "He didn't bully me. I'm willing to help Yuzi carry the luggage. Also, Auntie, Yuzi is your biological son. aren't you taking the wrong side? My mother was stunned. There was a rare look of embarrassment on her face. She mumbled, not knowing what to say. Sergei didn't care either. He turned around and pulled my hand. Heading towards the bedroom, I stared at Sergei's back. For some reason, I suddenly laughed out loud. The moment the door closed, I heard my mother whispering to Uncle Sher, "When did Yuzi and Aji become so close?" The bedroom door was locked. Sergei was helping me take out the things from the suitcase. I was still quite amazed. I couldn't help but poke Sergei's waist. "Why did you suddenly think of contradicting my mother? I've never seen you have such a strong temper before. Besides, I'm used to it." My head was grabbed. Sergei lowered his head and kissed my fingertips. There was no expression on his face. "I don't want her to say those things about you, not even your mother." I stared at him for a while. I simply hooked my arms around his neck and kissed him. TSK. I seem to like Sergei even more. 16. Most of the time, my mother isn't a reliable mother. In her eyes, outsiders are always more important than her own family. When someone else came to snatch my toys, my mother would scold me for being inconsiderate and ask why I couldn't let the other children have them. When I fought back against someone who was picking a fight, my mother would tell me to find my own reasons. Otherwise, why would they pick on me and not others? Then she would apologize to the person with a smiling face. She didn't care about right or wrong. She only cared about her own face. If I made her lose face, it was my fault. And she would scold me. I was always a useless person, trash. A good for nothing. And a shameful thing, just like my father. In her words, she actually knew how to be a mother quite well. She would make breakfast for Sergei, attend his parents' meetings, defend him in front of the teacher, and buy him new clothes, new shoes, and a new phone. Even though Sergei had always been indifferent to her, everyone said that she was a good stepmother. My mother would always laugh widely whenever she heard that. But she forgot, I'm her son. I've been lacking love my whole life. No wonder I couldn't resist when I met this crazy guy Sergei. 17. On the eve of the new year, my mother and Uncle Sher were busy working overtime. During the day, when they weren't at home, Sergei and I were lovers, sweethearts. We went crazy at home, in the car, and in the hotel. We explored and tasted each other's bodies freely. We desperately wanted to convey our love to each other. At night, my mother and Uncle Sher came back. We became brothers again. We tirelessly performed the act of brotherly harmony in front of them. We wore the guise of brothers. We secretly held hands under the table, in the bedroom where they couldn't see, with just a wall between us. We kissed boldly, again and again. The taboo and excitement overwhelmed our minds. We lost control. 18. We were clearly together. We had done both the things we should and shouldn't have done. But Sergei still didn't feel very secure. He always liked to keep a close eye on me. He would say he loved me over and over again and ask me not to abandon him. I didn't understand where this deep-seated panic in him came from, but I instinctively soothed him. For this reason, I held his face in my hands and said seriously, "Then I'll be your puppy. I'll always be by your side from now on." In the 3rd month after arriving in the United States, I have gradually adapted to the life here. I shuttle between the dormitory and the laboratory every day and am no longer confined by love and affection. Lin Guannan and I are now friends, confidants, and the best partners. The ideals that were not realized in my previous life have finally been fulfilled in this life. Later, I heard news about Liang Zhe. It was half a year later. Lin Guannan told me about it. When Liang Zhe was originally going to be imprisoned for kicking Qin Xia to death, the Liang family produced his medical records indicating mental illness, so he was sent to a mental hospital instead. At first, Lin Guannan thought Liang Zhe was pretending. Unexpectedly, Liang Zhe was truly crazy. He holds a doll every day, changes its clothes for it, and gently combs and braids its hair. He likes to hold the doll when he sleeps and sometimes stares at it and cries. Every night, he always says affectionately to the doll, "I love you, Jia. I will only love you forever and ever. You don't have to love everything about me. I can change for you." Coming back with him was also Qin Xia, my senior sister. "You, don't leave me, don't leave me." The staff are often scared by him when they do the night inspection, and sometimes they avoid him. When I heard this, I was stunned for a moment, but in the end, I didn't say anything. Everyone has their own destiny, and this is the ending he chose for himself. After this incident happened in the Liang family, although there wasn't much impact on their interests, their reputation was inevitably damaged, so they completely removed Liang Zhe from the family register and drove him out of the Liang family. Liang Zhe is now in a mental hospital. He is all alone and helpless. The rest of his life will probably be like this. He also taunted me, asking if I had been rejected by a girl, and that's why I gave the things to him since I couldn't give them to anyone else. A crazy dog is always infatuated. I continued to pursue him, thinking that our relationship had improved a lot recently. I planned to confess to him on the day of graduation, but I received the news of his death instead. I didn't know exactly what he had argued with his mother about. I only heard a sentence at the door. "There is no one in the world who loves me at all." I panicked. I wanted to say that I loved him. It's a pity that I never managed to say those words in the end. After he died, I took his body back to my secret base. There were all the photos of him that I had secretly taken. The reason why I had always been afraid to pursue him too closely was that I was afraid he would find out that I was a crazy person, and that he would be scared of me and dislike me. I was even more afraid that I wouldn't be able to resist and do something excessive to him. I didn't want us to reach that point, but he was dead. I could kiss him boldly and tell him that I loved him. I had never had much attachment to this world. Until I met Jiang Yubai. Now that he was dead, my attachment was gone. I didn't want to live anymore either. My soul didn't dissipate immediately. Instead, it floated in the air, watching as my own body was fished out. The end. I don't know why a person can still dream after death. In the dream, I went back to the time when I went to retrieve his body, but this time, there was one more person, or rather, one more ghost. I saw Jiang Yubai's soul floating in the air and following me all the way. I saw the shock in his eyes when he watched me kiss him. I saw him crying alone for a long time after hearing my confession and my suicide. At the end of the dream, a voice in the dream asked me. It said it could fulfill one of my wishes. I said, then I want to go back to the time when I just started my freshman year. This time, I don't want to be a coward anymore. When I opened my eyes again, I saw Jiang Yubai. Unlike in my previous life when he was grumpy, this time he smiled at me and said, I want to fall in love with you. At this moment, I knew that he had been reborn too. Two parallel lines, finally intersected. Story 2. In a previous life, he married me following his mentor's advice, yet I treated him with extreme coldness, until he was killed by a rival. Among his belongings, I found a stack of love letters he had written to me. Every line spoke of the pain of unrequited love. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to 3 years earlier, the year we were just married. I burst into his room, saw his injured arm, and asked with tears in my eyes, Jiang Yan, does it hurt? He paused for a moment, then resignedly closed his eyes, his voice rough. What now? Are you going to rub salt into my wounds? 01. In my past life, until the day I died, Jiang Yan's love letters were still mocked online. His rival not only took over his business empire but also ridiculed him on camera as a wretch unloved by anyone, in an attempt to clear his name. I was involved in a car accident on my way to the TV station and tragically died. In my last moments, I wished that Jiang Yan would never meet me in his next life. 02. When I woke up from the darkness, I still felt pain. Scattered congratulations reached my ears. Mr. Jiang and Miss Wan, happy first anniversary. Jiang Yan and I, our first anniversary. I suddenly looked up. The bright white light was so intense that I could hardly open my eyes. After a brief ringing in my ears, I found myself at a reception. Around me, glasses clinked. A much younger Jiang Yan was sitting beside me, his expression cold. Blood trickled down his pale knuckles, drop by drop. His hand was injured. A dinner knife fell to the ground. The waiter apologized with a terrified face. I'm sorry, Mr. Jiang. I didn't hold it steady. A surge of sadness welled up inside me. I couldn't help but call out his name, Jiang Yan. Suddenly, a meaningful laugh came from across the table. Miss Wan, I took revenge for you. How will you thank me? Looking in the direction of the voice, I saw a familiar face, Jiang Yan's rival, and the chief culprit of his death in my past life, Song Jingping. I shuddered all over, suddenly remembering that day, at our first anniversary banquet, I had argued with Jiang Yan and spitefully said, if I talk to you again, I'm a dog. During the meal, Song Jingping deliberately had someone injure Jiang Yan's right hand. Out of politeness, I coldly told the waiter, I hate blood, please clean it up. Thank you. That comment led to a misunderstanding. Jiang Yan simply wiped the blood away from in front of me and continued to discuss partnerships in pain. Because the wound wasn't treated in time, Jiang Yan's precious hand was permanently disabled. It would ache whenever it rained, and eventually, it became the weakness that cost him his life. Now, seeing Jiang Yan emotionlessly pulling out a tissue to wipe the blood in front of me, my heart instantly clenched. Aching painfully, I pushed Jiang Yan's arm away and stood up abruptly. Song Jingping, I demand an explanation. My reaction stunned everyone. There was a dead silence. Jiang Yan was taken aback. His dark eyes quickly turned to me, and after a brief moment of heartache, they returned to silence. He closed his eyes. Wan He, no need for this. If you find me dirty, I'll just change my clothes. Wait a minute. He thought I found him dirty. I suddenly grabbed Jiang Yan's sleeve, all my past restraint gone. Under his puzzled gaze, my eyes reddened with anger as I furiously grabbed a water glass and hurled it at Song Jinping. Song Jinping, apologize to my husband. The room fell silent, under the watchful eyes of everyone. I firmly shielded Jiang Yan behind me, appearing wronged. In the palm of my hand was Jiang Yan's cold wrist, trembling slightly from pain, all because I had once said before our marriage, I want a comfortable life. Jiang Yan was determined to secure this deal tonight at all costs. The smile faded from Song Jinping's face as he wiped the water off his shoulder and asked darkly, Miss Wan, didn't you used to hate Jiang Yan the most? What are you pretending for now? The gentle touch under my palm felt so real at that moment. Even without looking at Jiang Yan, I could feel his stiffness. I pulled out a tissue, quickly wrapped it around his wound, and said, this is just a quirk between us as a couple. Something an inhuman thing like you wouldn't understand. Song Jinping's face darkened. Wan He, you. In that instant, I remembered how, in my past life, after Jiang Yan had died, Song Jinping had described him using filthy words. I grabbed anything I could and smashed everything I could at him. Minutes later, Song Jinping was covered in seaweed egg drop soup, his face also marred. As I walked out of the hotel with Jiang Yan, light rain began to fall from the sky. The spring rain was quiet and oil-like. I was still reveling in the joy of being reborn. Suddenly, Jiang Yan pulled his hand away, his tone strained. All right, there's no one here now. I turned back to meet his cool, beautiful eyes and was momentarily spellbound. It was hard to imagine that at this moment, he was secretly writing me a love letter. Jiang Yan avoided my gaze and said coldly, I have a meeting to attend, you should go back first. I won't. Wan He, can we argue another day? I'm just too tired tonight. He stood in the drizzling rain, his delicate and distinct features hidden in the shadows, his eyes dim, the traces of blood on his lips and jaw added a morbid beauty to him. I held his hand, unable to hold back, my eyes welling up with tears. When I spoke again, my voice was tinged with sobs. Jiang Yan, I won't argue with you anymore. Your hand is injured. Let's go to the hospital. Okay. He suddenly looked up, disbelief in his eyes, a struggle flickering within. Soon, it returned to stillness. Hee, how do you plan to torment me this time? Want to rub salt in my wounds? In my past life, I wasn't good to Jiang Yan. He was calm and restrained, his demeanor indifferent, and he married me following his mentor's advice. I subconsciously felt that he disliked me. Over the years, we became a resentful couple. It was only upon his death that I suddenly realized how deeply my feelings for him had penetrated my bones. The evening breeze was dizzying. I couldn't hold it in any longer, and I burst into tears while clinging to his arm. Jiang Yan, please don't die. I'm scared. This man, who had always been cold towards me, suddenly stiffened, a momentary melting in the depths of his eyes. He eventually postponed the meeting. Stop crying, I'll go. Jiang Yan remained silent throughout the doctor's treatment of the wound. I was anxiously asking the doctor if there could be lingering effects, my emotions suddenly collapsing as I spoke. After all, following Jiang Yan's death in my past life, I had run around trying to protect his reputation, enduring much disdain and injustice. It seems some habits are hard to break. Jiang Yan's gaze stayed fixed on my profile, his thoughts inscrutable. After the doctor finished with the wound and removed his gloves, he turned to Jiang Yan. Mr. Jiang, your wound is not serious. However, your wife seems quite shaken. Jiang Yan's expression stiffened, and he quietly responded, sorry, my fault. I've been arguing with her a lot lately. The doctor, understanding, joked, try not to pick on her. She seems very attached to you. Jiang Yan covered the bite mark I left during our earlier argument and muttered quietly, understood. When we left the hospital, my eyes were swollen. I held onto his bandaged hand and refused to let go. Jiang Yan's secretary, standing by the car, looked troubled. Mr. Jiang, about tonight's meeting. It was already late at night, and such work intensity was probably why Jiang Yan eventually fell ill. Startled, I moved closer to Jiang Yan. I'm scared to sleep alone. Jiang Yan's expression blanked, his eyes deepening. Hee, do you realize what you're saying? Until today, I had never gotten close to him, let alone acted coquettishly. I buried my head in his chest, as if to say, if he didn't come home with me, I wouldn't let go. Jiang Yan couldn't outlast me in the end. The Rolls-Royce smoothly entered the villa area. As the night quieted, I looked at the familiar villa, and my frantic heart began to calm. Jiang Yan was still alive. We were home, holding Jiang Yan's warm hand. I was planning how to warn him about some people. As we approached the door, someone suddenly called out to me, Hee, didn't you promise to celebrate my birthday with me? The person stood under the streetlight, its cold white light illuminating a tear mole at the corner of his eye. His hood fell back, revealing a strikingly beautiful face. It was my childhood friend, Song Xian. Also, from my past life, the relative who stayed by my side until the end. At that moment, I remembered I had promised to meet him earlier tonight, but due to Jiang Yan's injury, it had been delayed until now. Upon seeing him, Jiang Yan stiffened. He coldly let go of my hand. Oh no, he had misunderstood again. From the love letters I had seen in my past life, I knew Jiang Yan had always mistakenly thought I liked Song Xian. I wanted to explain, but Jiang Yan cruelly avoided my touch. I have a meeting. I'll go home first. Jiang Yan. Before I could follow him, Song Xian held me back, speaking gently. He said, "Hee, the cake is ready. Come, get in the car with me." As I watched Jiang Yan leave, my heart was in turmoil. Song Xian, it's not even your birthday today. What are you up to? Song Xian's smile stiffened. I just can't stand seeing him treat you coldly. What's wrong today? I wasn't in the mood to explain and simply stretched out my hand. Where are the documents I asked for? Song Xian's eyes dimmed slightly. Jiang Yan doesn't appreciate it. Why do you still want to help him? In my past life, I was afraid that Jiang Yan would suffer losses in business. After finding the information on Song Jingping through Song Xian, I secretly placed it under Jiang Yan's pillow. Jiang Yan probably never saw it, and eventually, he was schemed against and utterly defeated. This time, I had to hand it to him personally. Song Xian handed me the documents, then suddenly grasped my hand. Hee, I have a stomachache tonight. Could you stay with me? His words were exactly the same as in my previous life. Back then, I saw Song Xian's pale face and was terrified, rushing him to the hospital overnight, but the doctor told me, he's just hungry, it's nothing serious, he'll be fine after eating. So, I pulled my hand away from Song Xian's and said helplessly, go find somewhere to eat, I still have important things to do. With that, I hurried home. I thought that with Jiang Yan around, at least the lights would be on at home, but it was pitch dark all around, dim light cast from the study. Relying on my memory, I made my way to the study door. There, I saw Jiang Yan's figure. He wasn't in a meeting but was writing something on paper, looking somewhat lonely. The freshly bandaged wound was faintly seeping blood. Jiang Yan was completely unaware. My heart clenched, and I pushed the door open. Jiang Yan, what are you doing? The man sitting by the window was startled and looked up to see me. I rushed over, snatched the pen from his hand, and scolded. Do you not care about your freshly bandaged hand? He probably didn't expect me to come back tonight. After a brief moment of surprise, he discreetly covered the finished documents and looked at me silently. I lost my temper. Jiang Yan, have you lost your mind? Have you forgotten what the doctor said? Which is more important, your hand or your work? Do you even care about what I've told you? After a series of questions, a rare blank expression appeared on Jiang Yan's face. I'm sorry, he suddenly apologized. I didn't expect you to come back. I was taken aback, unable to scold him any further. He was probably afraid that I would stay with Song Xian tonight. My heart softened, and I carefully unwrapped his bandage to replace it with a new one. I have nothing to do with Song Xian, Jiang Yan, it's you that I like. The breathing above my head suddenly became very light. Jiang Yan averted his gaze. After I finished bandaging him, he picked up the remaining items and walked out. As if avoiding something, I rushed in front of him, my voice trembling as I confessed for the first time, Jiang Yan, I said I like you. The night was deep. Jiang Yan's eyes were unfathomably deep. His voice hoarse. He said, hee, let's stop here for today. If you're done making a scene, go to sleep. He still didn't believe me. I pulled out the documents I had just received from Song Xian from my bag and handed them over. Here is Song Jingping's information. I hope you can surpass him. Jiang Yan's gaze fell on the thick stack of documents, a bitter smile of self-mockery flashing in his eyes. I didn't get the reaction I was expecting. Grasping Jiang Yan's sleeve, I asked, why don't you believe me? Is it really necessary to resort to certain measures to make him open up about his true feelings? Biting my lip and blushing, I untied the ribbon of my skirt and then shakily embraced him. I am sincere about you. In the darkness, Jiang Yan tensed up. A faint malice grew in the night air. His large hand suddenly pressed against my waist, and as the fabric tore with a crisp sound, I felt a chill. Immediately after, I was pressed down onto the sofa by Jiang Yan. His eyes swirled with a deep inkiness. His hand tightly gripping my chin, he hoarsely said, hee, you would go to such lengths for him. It seemed he was angry. Tears welled up in my eyes. Jiang Yan, it hurts. He let out a laugh, cold and devoid of warmth. You deserve the pain for deceiving me. My whole body shivered, clutching tightly at his shirt. I didn't. Jiang Yan seemed furious with me, his rough hand gripping my fragile neck. He said word by word, that document. It's all fake. Hee, you wanted me to follow it. To die at Song Jingping's hands, didn't you? So you could be with Song Xian, right? His words shocked me. What are you Talking about, Song Xian is Song Jinping's half-brother from the same father, hee, didn't you always know? My eyes widened in astonishment. By heaven and earth, in my past life until my death, I never knew their relationship. Realizing this, my face turned pale. So in my past life, Jiang Yan's death was partly because he thought I wanted him dead. Tears streamed down uncontrollably, and ignoring Jiang Yan's fury, I hugged him tightly. I'm sorry, Jiang Yan, I'm sorry. Jiang Yan scoffed with a mocking laugh. Enough. Too much drama makes it unreal. Leave while I can still control myself. I clutched his shirt tightly, my knuckles turning white. I won't go. I've said it. I will never leave you. The air pressure in the room dropped. A calm before the storm. Jiang Yan looked as if he would kill me the next second. So you're betting that I really can't do anything to you? I silently met the gaze of the man in front of me. In his eyes, I saw a growing obsession and madness. I shivered, fearlessly wrapping my arms around his neck. Hubby, it's too cold. Shall we go to the bedroom? The next second, he flipped me forcefully and pressed me down on the sofa. Jiang Yan's hard, burning body trapped me in a tight corner, dominating my senses forcefully. His cool, bewitching voice came through. Hee, you started this. If you think of running away, I will kill you myself. I never knew that Jiang Yan could lose control like this. It felt like plunging into a scorching deep sea, helplessly clinging to the driftwood in front of me. Anxious and tense, the night was dark, and Jiang Yan's broad palm intertwined tightly with my fingers. The force nearly crushed my bones. Jiang Yan, I'm scared. You don't have a choice anymore. Tonight. All my cries turned into broken whispers. The night wind stirred the curtains. The starlight outside the window blurred into a hazy halo. At some point, it exploded in the sky, turning into a brilliant trail of light. Helplessly, I looked out at the moon, crying and begging for mercy, only to receive an even harsher punishment from Jiang Yan. Hee, bad girls must pay the price. The next day when I woke up, my legs were weak. The bed was empty beside me. The chaos of last night's bed, along with the traces left by Jiang Yan, had been cleaned up as if nothing had happened. I checked my phone and found several missed calls, all from Song Xian, and they were from late at night. I hadn't heard them. He had also sent me a message. Got your ticket. I told you, the VIP seat will always be yours. I glanced at the calendar. Only then did I remember. Next week I'm supposed to hold a violin concert. The only VIP ticket in the center, I had sent to Song Xian. At that time, I thought Jiang Yan definitely wouldn't go. I started to panic, scrolling through my phone. There were no messages from Jiang Yan. Did he know? I called Jiang Yan, and his secretary answered. Miss Wan, Mr. Jiang is in a meeting and can't take your call. Fine. Pretending not to know me after waking up, I said faintly, please tell Mr. Jiang I'm feeling a bit unwell. Suddenly, Jiang Yan's voice came through the phone, cold and terrifying. What's wrong? I curled up on the bed, letting out a faint moan. I fell when I got out of bed, because I couldn't stand steady. The call ended abruptly. The beeping sound was coldly impersonal. As expected, I had annoyed him. Even coquetry was no use now. After a while, I casually threw on one of Jiang Yan's shirts and wandered downstairs to the living room, then called Song Xian back. He answered immediately. Hee, why didn't you answer my calls last night? Touching our photo together, I asked him. We're best friends, right? Song Xian's laughter came through the receiver. Of course. Remember back in the orphanage? You wanted to be a violinist. I wanted to be a superstar, and we promised to always be together. Now, those words sounded somewhat surreal. After all these years, had I really seen Song Xian clearly? In my previous life, it was Song Xian who helped me sort through Jiang Yan's belongings. That stack of love letters, seen only by the two of us, ended up being exposed to everyone unexpectedly. I had thought it was the relentless paparazzi, but now, I suddenly wasn't so sure. Song Xian was still talking nonstop on the phone. Hee, did you receive the gift I sent you? I looked towards the corner where the gift box was piled up, still unopened. It must have been sent by Song Xian a few days ago. I vaguely remember it was a large plush toy. On stormy nights when Jiang Yan was absent, I would always endure by holding that toy. I briefly responded a few sentences, walked up to the gift box, and unwrapped it. The shiny black eyes of the big white bear looked somewhat goofy and adorable. Although it had accompanied me for a long time in my past life, I always felt a discomfort in my heart. I picked it up, intending to stash it in a storeroom, but unexpectedly, the door suddenly opened. Wearing a short, thin shirt, I struggled to drag the teddy bear and found myself face to face with Jiang Yan, who had just returned home unexpectedly. His gaze paused on the toy, and he pursed his lips without speaking. Why are you back? I felt somewhat guilty. I came back to get something. Jiang Yan passed by me with a cold expression. Without glancing sideways, I kicked away the bear and clung onto him tightly. Jiang Yan, he stiffened, closed his eyes, and said, "Get off." I gritted my teeth. My legs are weak, I can't stand. Enough. Jiang Yan suddenly turned around, supporting my waist. Hee, I don't care about your tricks. You can keep Song Xian's gift if you want, but as I've said, you are mine. You'll never be able to get rid of me. My face flushed inch by inch. Jiang Yan exploded in anger. I really love him so much. Husband. Jiang Yan paused, startled by my call. Bravely, I lifted my eyes, giving him a fragile and innocent look. Song Xian already gave me a gift. Why don't you give me one? He pursed his lips and remained silent. Under Jiang Yan's icy stare, I cried profusely. Heaven knows, you married me but do not love me. I might as well be dead. Minutes later, Song Xian's teddy bear was thrown out the door by Jiang Yan. I sat by the window, now wearing a brand new diamond necklace. Jiang Yan, aren't you going back to work? Without a word, Jiang Yan bent down and kissed my incessant talking lips. It was still daytime. I was dragged from the front door to the upstairs bedroom, previously penniless, now adorned with a necklace and a bracelet. That crazy Jiang Yan even put a bell bracelet around my ankle. I touched them joyously here and there. When did you even buy all these things? Jiang Yan still wore a stern face. He lifted me and sat me on the windowsill. It was then I realized things were getting out of control. Unfortunately, it was too late. Crying, I cursed him as a bastard. Jiang Yan's voice was strained. Being messed up by a bastard, isn't it what you asked for? Jiang Yan is a very guarded person. He still refuses to believe the sweet nothings I tell him, yet, he couldn't resist my closeness. Fortunately, this time, I had enough patience and time to slowly melt away the barriers in his heart. Lately, everyone around me says I've changed. I've become lovesick. During a break in a violin rehearsal, I twisted like a shy snake in the lounge, on the phone. Jiang Yan sighed helplessly. I'm in a meeting. Just tell me what it is. I called him more than a dozen times a day. Jiang Yan was always very aloof. However, they will all come. This gave me immense courage. Next week, can you come to my concert? There was a pause on the other end, falling into silence. I didn't give him a chance to react. I'm causing a scene, having a famous violinist on stage, and my newlywed husband doesn't care. I will become the laughingstock of everyone. Never recovering from this fall. Jiang Yan, you're going to ruin me. Okay, Jiang Yan interrupted my rambling. I'll just go. After hanging up the phone, my manager looked shocked. Teacher Wan, you two really have a great relationship. He must be very stable emotionally. Thinking of Jiang Yan's attitude towards me, I felt a bit down. Yes, quite stable. So stable that he doesn't want to talk to me at all. By the way, that VIP seat, the manager smiled slightly. The organizers said they could open a second-floor private VIP room just for your husband. Don't worry, it has the best view in the house. Tomorrow night, you will dazzle him like a fairy. In my past life, I completed a grand and splendid violin solo amidst thousands of flowers and applause. Song Xian, the movie star, sat in the audience, looking at me with a tender and affectionate gaze. That event had once topped the trending search list, even though I clarified it. People still subconsciously paired us together. No one knew that after the curtain call, I sat alone under the curtain, typing a message to Jiang Yan. Did you see my performance? After hesitating for a long time, I still didn't send it. I was like a love-starved child, trying to stand in a conspicuous place, making a scene, but the person I secretly loved still wouldn't spare me a glance. The concert was as grand as it had been in my previous life. The venue was packed with people, many of whom had come because of my fame. The appearance of the movie star Song Xian pushed the evening's excitement to a climax. You look beautiful tonight. Song Xian stood in the crowd, handing me a bouquet of flowers. Knowing his relationship with Song Jingping, I felt a bit awkward in my heart. Thank you. Song Xian's eyes, bright as stars, rested on my face, seemingly expecting me to say something. I just nodded slightly. It's about to start. Please excuse me. Dressed in a gorgeous outfit, I stood at the center of the stage, my eyes fixed on the middle of the second floor. My palms were sweating with nervousness. It was pitch black up there, completely empty. Disappointed, I lowered my head. Indeed, Jiang Yan hadn't come, but it didn't matter. The stage lights gradually dimmed, and a spotlight fell on my face. Standing in front of the microphone, my voice was soft. Actually, besides the violin performance tonight, I have another important announcement. I know everyone has been very curious about my personal life over the years. Even during the holidays, you all start urging marriage. Laughter rippled through the audience. Someone even started chanting Song Xian's name. I leaned closer to the microphone. Actually, I'm already married. I lifted up the large diamond ring on my ring finger, staring blankly towards the second floor, and said with a smile, Mr. Jiang, I love you. The whole venue erupted in murmurs. Who is Mr. Jiang? Could it be that well-known entrepreneur, Jiang Yan? Oh my. This is huge news. I thought she was paired with Song Xian. I totally shipped the wrong couple. Amidst the surging tide of chatter, I raised my violin. Jiang Yan, tonight's performance is played for you. This piece is called Unrequited Love. It was composed by a younger me, all for Jiang Yan. Unfortunately, back then, youthful and fragile in pride, I was overly sensitive. I didn't know how to express myself. That's why we missed out on so many years. The melody of the violin resonates, carrying the bittersweetness of a young girl's first love, echoing through the auditorium. At this moment, I didn't know that in the originally empty VIP room, a tall and broad figure stood silently for a long time. His eyes reflected the person at the center of the stage, his heart uncontrollably quickening, pounding against his ribs. A dull pain tugged at him, mixed with an irrepressible joy spreading throughout his body. He raised his hand. With his fingertips, he touched the gentle, beautiful face from afar, like touching a mesmerizing siren of the sea, fully aware of the peril, yet still willingly approaching alone. In the midst of searching and gazing around confusedly, he said with a bitter voice, I'll trust you one last time. If you deceive me again. His fingers tightened in the air, a hint of despair flashing in his eyes. I won't let you go. 09. After the curtain call, I rushed backstage hurriedly. Did Jiang Yan arrive? My manager nodded. Yes, Mr. Jiang wasn't late. Without looking back, I dashed towards the banquet hall, trembling slightly in anticipation of the upcoming encounter. Did he see the gift I prepared? Would he embrace me and say? Tonight's performance was spectacular, but I searched the entire venue and did not find him. Song Xian appeared beside me at some point. Were you just acting? I avoided his touch. I have something urgent. He gripped my hand, a bit too forcefully, yet his face wore an enchanting smile. Since when were you and Jiang Yan so close? I shook off his hand forcefully. Shouldn't we be? We are married. Song Xian's face stiffened. His handsome features shadowed, his lips curling slightly. Is that so? But it seems like he has left. That's impossible. Jiang Yan wouldn't leave. Suddenly, my manager came rushing. Teacher Wan, there's been an incident. Someone swapped the gift you prepared for Mr. Jiang. I found this backstage. I looked at the manager. The bottle of champagne I had carefully prepared for Jiang Yan lay untouched in the trash can. The packaging was nowhere to be seen. Jiang Yan had seen that gift box. He must have guessed it contained his gift. The champagne is in the trash. What then was in the gift box? Song Xian chuckled softly. Tonight, I'll present you with a drama. I turned around, meeting his sinister, crazed gaze, my heart suddenly sinking. Song Xian chuckled lowly. Guess, if that scoundrel Jiang Yan knew you tricked him into coming here, what would he think? Did you still love someone who was drugged in the wine you sent him? My brain buzzed. I couldn't hear anything. What did you put in his wine? Facing my pale face, Song Xian spoke lightly. Right now, he's probably in bed, making love with some stranger. NBSP, I don't know how I ran out of the banquet hall. I called Jiang Yan many times, but couldn't get through. Finally, I had to rush to the front desk. I am Jiang Yan's wife. Could you please tell me which room he is in? The person apologized. Sorry, ma'am, there's no information on Mr. Jiang in our system. The agent was calling the organizers. Check under the name Song Xian. Something struck me, and I grabbed her arm, my voice trembling. No, let him check under Song Jingping. Song Xian was so audacious because he was sure no one knew about his connection with Song Jingping. Sure enough, a few minutes later, I received a room number. Late at night, I ran down the corridor, my long dress trailing behind. I banged on the door. Jiang Yan, open the door. The door creaked open slightly. A glass flew past my ear and shattered against the wall behind me. Get out. A hoarse voice came through, followed by a woman's scream. I burst into the room. The scene was chaotic. The woman's dress had slipped down to her shoulders as she tried to crawl up and throw herself at Jiang Yan. I was furious, grabbing her hair. Amid her screams, I dragged her towards the door. Who the hell are you? Let go of me. Slap. I slapped her hard, and seeing her face, a chilling cold swept through me. Lin Hanchue, the girl who silently loved Song Xian in my past life. I had even helped her. So, it was indeed Song Xian's doing. At this moment, Lin Hanchue didn't recognize me. She lay on the ground, her eyes full of resentment. Jiang Yan touched me. I'm going to call the police. The agent covered her mouth. You like calling the police so much? Then let's talk in front of them. At that moment, Jiang Yan arrived with the police, rushing in, fear finally appeared in Lin Honshua's eyes. Miss Wan, is President Jiang okay? Jiang Yan's secretary looked worried. I said, tonight. I'll stay with him. I won't let anyone near Jiang Yan until dawn. Everyone left. I closed the door and collapsed on the floor, completely drained. Before I could catch my breath, a large hand suddenly grabbed my neck, pulling me up from the floor. Bang, my back slammed against the door. The strong smell of alcohol overwhelmed my senses. Jiang Yan's eyes were bloodshot. Get out. Tears welled up from the pain. A feeling of suffocation overcoming me. Jiang Yan, it's me, Wan He, hearing my name. A flicker of struggle passed through his eyes. He, yes, I tried to soften my voice, slowly reaching for his forearm. It's He, I've come for you. A faint blush spread across Jiang Yan's fair face. Wan He is not like this to me. He seemed very confused, his expression pained. She doesn't love me. He always spoke coldly. You're not her. I saw Jiang Yan's barely stabilized emotions fluctuating again, and in a rush, I suddenly chilled my tone. Jiang Yan. Is this how you treat me? Jiang Yan stiffened, his eyes misted with a foggy moisture. I steeled my heart. Take your hands off. Jiang Yan jerked his hands away as it burnt. Fresh air rushed into my lungs. Jiang Yan leaned against the wall, his head bowed, his eyes closed, his handsome profile hidden in the shadows, his face smeared with blood, conveyed a seductive brokenness, as if he had been wronged. I coughed, my voice hoarse. Jiang Yan, go back to bed, don't make me repeat myself. His lips trembled. Okay. I quietly breathed a sigh of relief. No matter the method, as long as he obeyed. He knelt by the bed, slowly lowering his body, breathing erratically. I saw Jiang Yan's ears flushed red, and his neck and collarbone tinted with a layer of pink. It was clear, Jiang Yan was in discomfort, but because I was there, he would rather grit his teeth and remain silent, unwilling to let me see any sign of it. My heart softened terribly. I carefully grabbed his tie. He was gently lifted by me, looking up at my face with a devout and confused gaze. Don't move, I commanded softly. Kneel properly. I'm going to take off your tie. Jiang Yan's hot breath spilled on the back of my hand, the touch of his fingertips scorchingly tantalizing. I turned off the light. The tie became a bond tying his hands to the bedpost, to prevent him from hurting me in his confusion. He stretched his neck, showing a pleading look, seeing his helpless appearance. I suddenly felt a wicked pleasure. I leaned over him and gently bit Jiang Yan's lip. Mr. Jiang, just give in to me. No. He closed his eyes, murmuring, I want He. I curved my lips. I am He. He loves you. He seemed bewitched by me, quietly, without a word. At first, Jiang Yan was obedient. In the darkness, his suppressed, shallow breaths were so enticing. He, please don't do this. Don't do what? I playfully continued to stir up trouble on his body. However, the moment the tie loosened, everything abruptly stopped. The restrained beast finally broke free from its cage. I started to panic. Jiang Yan, you bastard, go back, don't touch me. Unfortunately, he couldn't hear anything. In the darkness, the clear ringing turned into the charge of battle. The fierce battlefield spread wildly in the dead of night, becoming more intense, life-threatening. You can't reason with a beast that has lost its mind. You can only be ruthlessly devoured and bitten by him. Then, planted full of his traces, it was excruciating. At dawn, I finally kicked away the frenzied beast, wrapped myself in clothes, and fled. Miss Wan, you don't look well. What happened last night? In the police station, Secretary Jiang Yan's reminded me with an unnatural expression, remembering the embarrassing escape that had just happened and being caught on the spot. I wished I could just disappear into the ground, uncomfortably changing the subject. Can we hurry this up? I need to get back. By the time I left, Jiang Yan had already fallen asleep. Fortunately, the situation hadn't gotten worse. Finish the statement quickly, and let tonight's incident be over. Everyone would be happy. Only a few hours had passed since the incident, and Song Jingping was still unaware that Lin Honshui had been taken away by the police. By now, the internet was already buzzing with the hot search they had arranged. Jiang Yan suspected of cheating with a hostess. In the photos, Jiang Yan and Lin Honshui were clearly seen entering and exiting the room. In just half an hour, this topic skyrocketed to the top. Netizens lashed out. As expected, all men are scum. Just after Wan He announced her marriage, Jiang Yan slapped her in the face. Get a divorce. He doesn't deserve Wan He. I was just about to post an update when my manager held my hand. Wait a bit longer. You have no evidence, and it will only make people think you are silently bearing it. Making excuses for Jiang Yan. The police will issue a notice by noon at the latest. The statement was completed at 5:30 a.m. I dragged my tired body back to the room. The curtains were not yet drawn. And it was dim all around. Wait. Why is the bed empty? Jiang Yan, where is he? I stood there bewildered, my heart tightened, and the next second, a fiery body tightly hugged me from behind. Jiang Yan's lucid voice came through, filled with a broken despair. Where did you go last night? I didn't react immediately. Huh. I asked you, where did you go last night? Jiang Yan clenched his teeth, his calmness tinged with madness. I didn't go anywhere, Wan He. He pressed me harshly onto the bed, his reddened eyes tightening my heart. Did he misunderstand something? Jiang Yan trembled with pain. Wan He, doesn't your heart hurt? You hate me, you could let me die, but why do you humiliate me this way? My mind went blank. How did I humiliate you? Is sleeping with me filthy? This remark provoked Jiang Yan, who let out a desperate laugh. Drugged me, let someone defile me, ruin my reputation, divorce me, and then what? Do you want to see me dead? His lips still bore the marks of my bite, like a young man ravished by someone. I suddenly saw his phone on the bed, displaying the news that had topped the hot search. Jiang Yan thought, he had slept with someone else last night. My expression became very strange. Wait, listen to me. As I moved, my dress tore. The next second, my body covered in kiss marks was exposed in front of Jiang Yan. Jiang Yan stopped. Despair surfaced in his eyes. He trembled as his lips met mine. Humbled voice, who did this? Wanha, please tell me, who was it? He not only forgot how he tormented me last night but also thought I was cheating. I couldn't hold back the frustration that I had endured all night, and it suddenly erupted. I burst into tears in front of him. Jiang Yan stiffened, unprepared for my reaction, and I kicked him several times. You jerk, jerk, jerk. Who else could it be but you? I only slept for 2 hours last night. How can you not let me sleep? Jiang Yan's face took a solid slap from me. A red mark quickly appeared. He stood there, stunned. Wanha. A ripple of despair rose from the depths of his eyes, tinged with disbelief. Soon, it spread like shimmering light. I cried loudly and threw my phone into his chest. It had photos I secretly took of him last night. I had intended to keep them to look at secretly later. There was also a short video, thinking to blackmail him heavily once he woke up. But the recording didn't go as planned, and Jiang Yan, breaking free, turned the tables. The video plunged into darkness, capturing my pleas and curses. The voices that would normally cause embarrassment now rooted Jiang Yan to the spot. Panic flickered in his eyes as he looked at me helplessly. Wanha, I thought it was a dream. What about you? I couldn't contain my anger any longer, my long-suppressed petulance bursting forth. You want a divorce, don't you? Go ahead, you faithless scum. Jiang Yan was nearly kicked off the bed by me. That finally snapped him back to reality. He grabbed my wildly kicking legs and held me tight. I will take responsibility, ignoring my struggles, he said. As long as we don't divorce, you can do whatever you want. Hours later, I abruptly opened the door. I stepped out with an air of authority, arms crossed. People waiting at the doorway turned their gaze towards us. Jiang Yan, in his suit, followed me, a tall figure in silence. Reporters swarmed us. May we ask if the rumors online are true? Did you really betray Miss Wan by having an affair with a hostess? Jiang Yan said nothing, his dark eyes fixed on me, as if he heard nothing else. I flipped my hair and covered my mouth, feigning surprise. No way, spouses can't even check into a hotel room without you gossiping about it. The person from last night has been taken to the police station. Please stay tuned for the police report later. The barrage of questions from everyone gave me a headache. Jiang Yan coldly swept over the crowd, covering my ears. Excuse us. With that, he led me away from the crowd. His men held back the throng of journalists. Once we were far enough, I shook off his hand and got into the car. Throughout the ride, I couldn't help but feel a bit smug. I always feel like I'm missing something. Jiang Yan silently looked at me. Just a few hours ago he was nearly overwhelmed by darkness. Yet now he seemed unusually compliant. I raised my hand. Don't you think my thumb, index, middle, and little fingers are missing a few rings? Who would be kind enough to give them to me? Jiang Yan pursed his lips, uncomfortably shifting his gaze. I'll buy them for you. In a second, I snuggled up to Jiang Yan, smiling warmly at him. Jiang Yan, he swallowed, closing his eyes briefly. I love you. This time, he didn't ask me to leave. Instead, he looked at me and awkwardly responded, I love you too. As the parties involved, Jiang Yan and I went to the police station. After understanding the situation, the police quickly issued a notice. Lin Hanxue was temporarily detained pending prosecution. As the news spread, discussions swirled online. It was inevitable that there would be gossip. I can't believe one he would cover for such a man. Exactly, who would want such a sleazy man? Upstairs, they're probably just a union of interests, probably doing their own things behind closed doors. Haha, no matter what, Jiang Yan is still a damaged cucumber. Jiang Yan and I returned home. As I opened the door, I continued to nag and caution him. Don't pay attention to the nonsense on the internet, people just say things. Don't take it to heart. In my previous life, after Jiang Yan's death, rumors about him were rampant, driven by Song Jinping. There was even a time when antisocial elements splashed gasoline on Jiang Yan's tombstone, fearing he would get hurt. I went to check his phone. Log out of your account. You're not allowed to log in these days. Before I could finish, Jiang Yan held me tightly in his arms. We didn't turn on the lights in the villa. Time quietly flowed in the silent night. He. My body belongs only to you. Don't abandon me. Eventually, Jiang Yan shed his tough protective shell and bared his heart to me. Tears welled up in my eyes as I buried myself in his embrace. Jiang Yan, I have a story. Do you want to hear it? I told Jiang Yan a lot. About our missed connections in the previous life. About Song Jinping's despicable acts. About my past with Song Xian. About the people Jiang Yan should be wary of. But when it came to the end, I fell silent. Jiang Yan listened intently and hit the nail on the head with his question. How did I die? I shuddered in his embrace. As the nightmare that had tortured me countless nights swept over me again. You fell off a cliff. Song Jinping tricked you, saying I was at the mountain top. During your climb, someone tampered with the brake pads, and you were thrown out of the window, holding Jiang Yan's cold fingertips. I sobbed uncontrollably. You had an old injury in your hand. You couldn't even grab the last branch. To this day, the words Jiang Yan is dead still haunt me like a nightmare. When I arrived at the scene, all I saw were the wrecked vehicle and chaotic scratch marks in the mud. Jiang Yan had fallen into the ravine. His body was never found. Every time I dream of it at midnight, imagining his appearance before his death, my heart aches so much that I can't breathe, falling from such a height. How painful it must have been for him. Jiang Yan gently patted my back and kissed my forehead. Let's not talk anymore. Let's stop here for tonight. I stubbornly held on to him. The people I just mentioned, you have to remember them. Jiang Yan's eyes were deep, filled with enchanting tenderness. Silly he. I know all these people. I was stunned. Jiang Yan managed such a vast business empire. How could he not be shrewd and calculating? The information I had gathered was merely glanced at by him before he dismissed it as fake. But why in my previous life? Seeing my confusion, Jiang Yan sighed, lowered his head, and kissed me. In this world, you are the only one for whom I would willingly die. If you asked it of me, I would stop struggling. Tears hung on my face, already cold. I suddenly stood up, staring blankly at Jiang Yan. I won't let Jiang Yan die. But what if someone impersonates me? Song Xian. My murmuring tightened Jiang Yan's expression. It's Song Xian. I stumbled to my feet and grabbed my phone. Suddenly, my hand was held. Jiang Yan stared at me anxiously, uncertainly asking, you said you'd always be with me. I shouted hoarsely, damn Song Xian, I'm going to settle scores with him. He and his idiot brother deceived me so badly. Jiang Yan was taken aback for a moment, a flicker of clarity crossing his eyes. Minutes later, Jiang Yan held me as I raged, his lips curling up involuntarily. All right, calm down now. In his arms, trembling with anger, I said. I was definitely deceived by him. That scumbag talking to you. Jiang Yan bowed his head to hug me, burying his face gently in my neck, humming lowly. He is a scoundrel. The buzz about this incident was still suppressed. Lin Hongqiu had disappeared without a trace. Jiang Yan said, Song Jinping has an underground money house in Beijing, where dirty money cleansed comes out spotless. I suddenly realized, no wonder in my past life. He dominated both the underworld and lawful realms, unchallenged. I sat on a sunlit lounge chair. Jiang Yan watched me quietly, his eyes filled with a soft glow. He suddenly called me. Caught off guard, meeting his dark eyes, I suddenly remembered those unspeakable nights recently, which made my heart race and face flush. Why suddenly call out to someone? This time, I will win. I propped my chin, smilingly leaned closer, my fingers twirling at his collar. So, Mr. Jiang, do you want my help? Jiang Yan's Adam's apple bobbed, gripping my wrist. How would you help? I muttered for a long while. Jiang Yan's face darkened. No, I straddled him. Don't you think? Song Xian's resources are excessively good. Both Song Xian and I came from the same orphanage. I was adopted by Jiang Yan's mentor, went abroad to study music, and achieved my accomplishments through the strict guidance of my foster parents, whereas Song Xian reached the pinnacle as soon as he debuted. Good opportunities came one after another. Even winning a Best Actor award in his debut year, I always thought it was Song Xian's luck. But now knowing his connection with Song Jinping, I thought of more. Seeing Jiang Yan still stern, refusing to budge, I said smilingly, the business world is your turf, but the entertainment circle might not be as clear to you as to me. Approaching Song Xian is the best strategy, without getting rid of this tumor early. How can I be at peace about having children? Jiang Yan's eyelashes trembled slightly. Children, I pecked on his lips. Don't you want children? Don't you want to give them a stable and happy future? If it's a daughter, would you have the heart to let her live in constant distress from the moment she's born? Jiang Yan's expression gradually became solemn. I won't allow it. Good, we are in agreement then. It was only at this moment that Jiang Yan realized he had been led into my line of reasoning. His voice deepened. Wan he. Facing my resolute gaze, he finally gave in. I promise you, but you must return to my side every night. The night before my father's birthday feast, I made a call to Song Xian. The phone rang for a while before Song Xian answered. His voice was husky. He. You finally decided to call me. I sobbed over the phone. Song Xian, you were right. Jiang Yan is a jerk. I shouldn't have helped him. I regret it. The one being called a jerk was currently sitting opposite me, peeling lychees for me. Hearing this, he squeezed the lychee so hard that it bore the imprint of his fingers. Song Xian's voice relaxed. It's good that you've realized. We've grown up together. How could I lie to you? Tomorrow at your dad's birthday feast, I bought a gift for you to bring along. Also, you owe me a concert. I bit into the lychee flesh that was handed to me and licked Jiang Yan's fingertips. Seeing his hand stiffen, I murmured contentedly, see you tomorrow. Unsurprisingly, because of these few sentences, I ended up not eating any lychees that night. I was dragged into the bedroom by Jiang Yan, crying. When my father was young, he used to teach at a business school. His students were everywhere, therefore, his birthday feast was particularly grand. Song Jingping was naturally on the guest list. To make the act convincing, I returned home alone in advance. Seeing me come back alone, my parents looked disappointed. How are things with Ai Yan? Over the years since our marriage, the ongoing Cold War between me and Jiang Yan had always been a sore point for my parents. For the sake of a thorough plan, I hardened my heart and replied, it's still the same on the day of the birthday feast. My relationship with Jiang Yan once again became the focus of everyone's gossip. Jiang Yan entered, greeted his teacher, and mingled with people in the circle as usual. I stood by the railing on the second floor, wearing a light golden mermaid dress, watching Jiang Yan, dressed sharply, surrounded by people, restrained and dignified. Song Jingping was standing opposite him. President Jiang acts decisively, snatching business at the last moment. What kind of hero does that make you? Jiang Yan chuckled lightly. All is fair in war. In business, what makes you or me a good person? I stared at Jiang Yan's profile, lost in thought. Miss Wan. Someone noticed me standing there and waved at me from below. Everyone looked up and gasped. Jiang Yan stopped talking in an instant. His gaze followed the crowds to me. His dark eyes lingered on my face for a moment, then trailed down along my jawline. It felt as if I had been scalded. My ears burning. I suddenly turned and descended the stairs. Under Jiang Yan's watchful eyes, I walked toward Song Xian, who was waiting on the side. Song Jingping swept away his earlier gloom and burst into loud laughter. Successful in business, unlucky in love. It seems Miss Wan prefers the young and handsome. I dared not look back at Jiang Yan. In my heart, I had cursed Song Jingping 800 times. Did he not know that his casual remarks would lead me to misfortune tonight? Just as Song Xian was about to provoke Jiang Yan, I pulled him back sharply. Shut up. In the past, Song Xian and I loved playing in the small garden. Years later, the garden remained lush and verdant. Watching Song Xian digging, I asked, are you related to Song Jingping? Song Xian stiffened, his back to me. Did Jiang Yan tell you? Yes. Before he could react, I thumped his head twice. You have a wealthy brother and you didn't tell me sooner. Are you an idiot? Are you an idiot? Song Xian, dazed by my hits, his usually brooding eyes suddenly softened. Wan, you. I faced him, anger written all over my face. If I had known your brother was rich, I wouldn't have married Jiang Yan. Song Xian's expression remained unchanged. He stared at me for a moment, a smile blooming in his beautiful eyes. No way, you can't marry my brother either. I'd rather have you stay with me forever. Suddenly, a memory from a past life flashed through my mind after Jiang Yan's death. Song Xian squatting in front of Jiang Yan's tombstone, saying the same words. Back then, my heart was shattered, and I pushed his hand away. Not long after, I died in a car accident. The warm spring sun shone down, yet I felt a chill all over. Trying to sound casual, I asked, what if I refuse? Song Xian's handsome face remained smiling. The teardrop mole under his eye seemed more enchanting as he smiled. Then I'll just have to bury you in the ground. A shiver of dread ran up my spine. I froze. Unable to speak, suddenly, Song Xian clutched his stomach, laughing so hard that tears came out. If I can't scare you to death, Wan, then you are really an idiot. Don't you dare curse me next time. Impatiently, I brushed his hand away. Your brother is so rich, and you don't get me some money to spend, yet you expect me to stay with you. Ridiculous. Song Xian resumed digging. if you want, I can get some for you. It's not like I don't know how to make money like my brother. I clenched my fists tightly. I lowered my head and took a couple of deep breaths. I couldn't ask any more. Today had to end here. I collected myself and looked up, meeting Song Xian's thoughtful gaze. My heart skipped a beat. What are you doing? Song Xian smirked. Aren't you going to ask me how I make money? Not interested. I pursed my lips. What exactly are you going to give me? He placed a ceramic figurine, covered in mud, into my hands. The craftsmanship was somewhat naive, yet the figurine's features bore a striking resemblance to mine. Song Xian said, I made this before my debut, thinking that if I ever became famous, became a movie star, I'd dig it up and give it to you. Why didn't you give it to me before? Song Xian smiled. A mud doll made by an orphan. Who cares about a big star making something valuable by hand? I'm just worried you might find it distasteful. I initially wanted to say that, regardless of status. A gift from a friend is always something precious to me, but recalling Song Xian's bizarre behavior in my past life, I ultimately didn't speak up. I simply packed up the clay figure and said, it's getting late, let's head back. Okay. The elderly had left the banquet early due to their age. Taking advantage of a moment when Song Xian was occupied with greetings, I went back to the bedroom on the second floor to rest my feet. As soon as I entered, my hands were pinned behind me and I was pressed against the door. Jiang Yan's voice was muffled and deep. What have you been up to? Feeling the strong jealousy from behind, I curved my eyebrows and my voice took on a teasing tone. Guess. His response was a domineering and forceful kiss. Suddenly, there were footsteps outside the door. Hee hee. Are you in the bedroom? The clear knocking sound shattered the intimate atmosphere. Startled, I trembled all over and whispered to Jiang Yan. Song Xian is here. His rough and slender hand recklessly tore away the obstructing barriers. In a second, he plunged me into a tumultuous sea of desire. I held my breath, eyes wide in disbelief. Jiang Yan, you're crazy. It seemed Song Xian was trying to call me, just as I was about to reach for my phone. Jiang Yan snatched it away and turned it off. He wickedly nipped at the protruding bone at the back of my neck, easily disrupting my composure. Daring to think of him, you, bad woman. I bit my lip, unable to resist teasing him. A bad woman you still love. His impact made my voice break. At this moment, I was truly grateful that the door was soundproof. Song Xian couldn't find me and soon left. Jiang Yan's sexy, husky voice brushed past my ear, causing continuous ripples. April 21st. I left a lipstick mark on Jiang Yan's shirt. He didn't confront me. May 13th. My newly bought hot miniskirt grabbed attention. Jiang Yan didn't even look at me. In the darkness, my eyes widened in shock and I started to curse angrily. Jiang Yan, you bastard, who allowed you to sneak a peek at my diary, trapping me in your boudoir? With the diary spread open on the bed, it would be hard not to look. Oh no. I hastily scribbled something last night and forgot to put it away this morning. Jiang Yan seemed particularly moved. He brought me in front of the diary, pinched my chin, his breath hot and tender. Hee hee, read it to me. My face flushed red, defiantly. Don't even think about it. Ah, hee hee. Do you think I'm too old? Jiang Yan's obsessive streak flared up again, refusing to let me go. Is my body not good? Can't I satisfy you? I was speechless, just shaking my head repeatedly. No, unsatisfied. Jiang Yan seemed not to understand, repeatedly proving himself with his body. Now, still shaking your head, until I cried out. He showered my body with tender kisses, mostly with his fingertips, all because he had seen Song Xian holding my hand. Finally, under his forceful coercion, I embarrassingly read out the secrets from the diary that I was ashamed to reveal. Jiang Yan couldn't hold back. He chuckled softly, with tears in my voice. I angrily rebuked him. How dare you laugh? The next second, he kissed my fingertips. I'm laughing because I've finally seen the light after the clouds have parted. Thankfully, Jiang Yan had the sense not to dirty my pale gold dress. When we reappeared before everyone, I had a stern look on my face, clearly furious. Jiang Yan's face bore a faint imprint of a slap. He remained silent. The guests eyed us both cautiously, not daring to ask any questions. My mother sighed. Hee hee, between husband and wife, you need to learn to tolerate each other. Remembering Jiang Yan's reckless behavior just moments ago, I glared at him hatefully. I can't tolerate it at all. It was me who was being bullied, yet Jiang Yan acted all innocent and clever in front of the elders. It was utterly ridiculous. Because he discovered the secret in my diary, I was utterly humiliated. From that day on, I moved back into my parents' house. The promise I made to Jiang Yan about coming home every night was also unfulfilled. This time, Jiang Yan wisely kept silent. Time flew by, and autumn arrived. In a few days, it would be Jiang Yan's birthday. I secretly planned to prepare a surprise for him. After much effort, I got in touch with an old classmate. Did I hear that you can buy stars there? You mean naming rights to stars? Yes, get me the 2 closest ones. I'll send you the names later. With that settled, I eagerly awaited Jian Yan's birthday. Jian Yan had been busy lately, traveling far and wide for business, hardly timely in his responses. I connected with Song Xian. He introduced me to several people from the Song family. Unbeknownst to me, this vast group of parasites had already corroded various industries. Song Xian moved through it effortlessly, no longer the person I remembered. I gathered quite a bit of evidence. Only Song Jingping, being cautious, never appeared within my sight. I wanted to dig deeper, but Jian Yan seriously warned me, "Don't follow them anymore, leave the rest to me." With this evidence, Song Jingping's business suffered heavy losses. Perhaps the events of the past wouldn't repeat themselves. Using illness as an excuse, I temporarily cut off contact with Song Xian. Today is Jian Yan's birthday. Early in the morning, I held a pregnancy test with 2 lines and made a call. "Remember to come home tonight. I've prepared a surprise for you." Jian Yan was somewhat reticent today. I chattered a lot. Jian Yan just listened. Finally, I grew tired of talking. Hearing the familiar breathing sound from the headset, I couldn't help but tease. "What are you doing? Why aren't you talking to me?" Jian Yan pondered for a while. "Hee, can you wish me a happy birthday?" I was surprised. "Don't you know I prepared for tonight for a long time?" Jian Yan laughed. "I can't wait." "No, wait for tonight." Seeing my determination, Jian Yan just smiled. I quietly placed the pregnancy test into a box. "Tonight's surprise will be something you'll never forget." "Hee, I love you." This confession came so unexpectedly. I blushed and quickly hung up the phone. The news of my pregnancy caused quite a stir among the elders. They were overjoyed. Mom, supporting me, said, "Good, let's go to the hospital, hurry." Dad held her back. "But Yen just told us." Mom seemed to remember something, paused for a moment, then said, "Let's call the family doctor. I'll phone Dr. Chow. Uncle Chow has been looking after my parents' health for years and watched me grow up. He's deeply trusted by my parents." After examining me, he stroked his beard with a smile and said, "Hee, it's almost certain, but you should still visit the hospital another day to be sure." The house was filled with joy, and we invited Uncle Chow to stay for lunch. When I went back to my room for a nap, a message from Song Xian suddenly flashed on my phone. Unable to resist the drowsiness, just before passing out, I vaguely saw a sentence, "Hee, we agreed to be together for a lifetime." I slept very deeply. When I opened my eyes from the haze, I found myself in a moving van. The strong diesel fumes were nauseating. A large hand slowly stroked my hair, and Song Xian's indifferent voice came through. "Song Jingping and Jiang Yan, I've had people watch them. Dog eats dog. Neither of them will survive tonight." It took me a while to realize what was happening. Was I actually with Song Xian? Seeing me awake, Song Xian showed a gentle smile. "You're awake. Why didn't you tell me earlier about the pregnancy?" I shivered, violently shaking off his hand and shrinking into the corner. "Why am I here?" Song Xian, half his face shrouded in darkness, spoke in a lazy tone. "Jian Yan is really thorough, all thanks to Uncle Chow and his severely ill daughter. Otherwise, seeing you would have been difficult." Seeing me staring at him warily, Song Xian suddenly grabbed my jaw and pulled me towards him. His smile turned sinister. "Because of that bastard Jiang Yan, you dared to leave me. Hee, guess how I will punish you." A wave of nausea hit me. I covered my stomach and began to retch. Song Xian's face darkened, and he shouted, "Stop the car." The van door opened. Cool air rushed into the vehicle. I ran out of the van, leaning against a railing, vomiting uncontrollably. In the distance, the myriad lights of homes twinkled like scattered stars. The wind blew, rustling the leaves. As I saw the scene in front of me, my legs gave way. It was this mountain again. In a past life, Jian Yan was buried here. I've walked this road countless times. Even with my eyes closed, I could recall every blade of grass and tree. "Where's Jian Yan?" I grabbed Song Xian, screaming like a madwoman. "Where is Jian Yan?" Song Xian sneered, "probably fighting a life-and-death battle with my brother." He should have known what awaited him at my brother's feast tonight. My body trembled, suddenly remembering the phone call this morning. It felt like someone was gripping my throat. "Hee, can you wish me a happy birthday? Don't you know how romantic I've been preparing for tonight? I can't wait. Let's not talk now. Wait for tonight." I covered my mouth, slowly curling up into myself. Jiang Yan never intended to come back alive. His eyes downcast, he lamented, "After tonight, the Song family will be greatly weakened, leaving only me to lead those useless fools. But at least, you'll die with me." Song Xian's furious shouts echoed through the gorges. While he was busy ranting, I grabbed a rock and smashed it hard on the driver's forehead. The driver fell to the ground with a thud. I scrambled into the car, trying to seize the steering wheel, but suddenly, headlights from all around flashed on, illuminating the surroundings as bright as day. Ultimately, Song Xian dragged me out of the car by my hair, his eyes brimming with malice. He laughed angrily. Why can't you ever learn to obey? You always liked me the most, so why did you let that wretch throw away the teddy bear? Under my fearful gaze, Song Xian grinned. Without it, I wouldn't even be able to see you. A bone-chilling coldness spread throughout my body. He had placed a surveillance device inside the bear's eyes. In my past life, I had held it every night as I slept. I roared fiercely. Why are you doing this to me? I've never harmed you. Song Xian paused, then laughed. I didn't say you harmed me. I don't hate you. I love you. But sadly, you betrayed me. And now you carry another seed. So, shall we die together? You're insane. Suddenly, someone ran over from afar. There's trouble with little Boss Song. Why panic? That person's voice trembled. Boss Song is dead and Jiang Yan is still alive. Song Xian scoffed. He can't possibly think that with Song Jingping dead, all his troubles are over. Right, there's still a bunch of fools waiting to kill Jiang Yan. That person handed over a photo. Jiang Yan was injured, his chest stained with blood, kneeling on the ground. I began to struggle violently, desperately clutching at Song Xian's hand. I pleaded, please, don't kill him. My humble cries echoed through the woods. Song Xian stared at me expressionlessly, seemingly amused by the situation. He helped me up and handed me his phone. Let's play a game. I snatched the phone and dialed 110. Song Xian said, the police are all busy over there right now. Jiang Yan's life is likely safe. Of course, you can also call the police to bring them here, but I guarantee, the moment you make the call, Jiang Yan will die a horrible death. I froze, hearing the police's voice from the phone. Hello, 110, how can I assist you? The wind in the mountains blew through my hair. I bit my lip hard, glaring at Song Xian. Here was a ray of hope, now being strangled in its cradle. Song Xian smirked and snatched the phone from my hand, hanging up the call. You're lying, I yelled, grabbing Song Xian's collar in anger. Song Xian laughed. You can choose not to believe me. After all, it's just a lie. Would you dare gamble Jiang Yan's life with me? I couldn't. Song Xian pinched my face. Here's your second choice. Call Jiang Yan. Say whatever you want to say, since you'll never see him again. Everything around us fell silent. The only sound left was the wind mercilessly blowing through my hair. I slapped Song Xian hard across the face, calling him a bastard. He smiled, pressing the cold barrel of a gun gently against my forehead. Be good, make a choice, police or Jiang Yan. You die, or, should Jiang Yan die? My breathing was heavy, my vision darkening, my whole body trembling. It turns out that in my past life, my death in a car accident was also by Song Xian's hand. In his eyes, I was meant to be an obedient puppet. If I did not comply with his wishes, death awaited. After a long while, I closed my eyes, hot tears rolling down. I'll call Jiang Yan. Song Xian's smile froze on his lips. Then go ahead, but remember to hide your feelings well. If he senses something's amiss and the police come, you know the consequences. I dialed the number. The cheerful ringtone sounded through the receiver. It was a ringtone I had personally set for Jiang Yan. This time, I waited a long time before the call was answered. Jiang Yan sounded unstable. What's wrong? I'll be home tonight. I knelt in the chilling wind, covering my mouth tightly, wiping away the tears that wouldn't stop falling. The gun tapped against the back of my head. Click. I heard the crisp sound of the gun being cocked. It wasn't until Jiang Yan called my name several times that I managed to force a smile and say, Jiang Yan, happy birthday. He paused, then chuckled. Didn't we say we'd wait until tonight? With a forced smile, I gasped for fresh air. I couldn't wait. I'm too impatient. What about my present? Song Xian grabbed my hair, pulling it back, pressing the gun harder. I struggled to breathe, my voice trembling. There's none. I didn't prepare any gift. I didn't even have time to buy a cake. Jiang Yan paused. Then shouldn't you compensate me somehow? After a long while, I closed my eyes. Then I'll give you half an hour to get home. I'll be upset if you're late. Alright, I'll wait at home like a good girl. If you're scared of the dark, turn on the lights. Jiang Yan, I love you. I love you too. After a few flickers, the screen plunged into darkness. I curled up, crying out in pain. Song Xian snatched my phone away and threw it down the cliff. Get in the car. Feeling utterly defeated, I got into the car and no longer responded to anything Song Xian said. Song Xian began reminiscing about our past. As he recounted, I realized his misunderstandings about me had reached absurd levels. Even when I gave him a pack of snacks, Song Xian thought I liked him. My silence ultimately infuriated Song Xian. He went mad, his tone urgent and terrifying. He bit and gnawed at my lips. Hee, let's die together. Is it okay? Let us be buried together. My eyes had already lost their sparkle. I don't want to die in the soil. Jiang Yan would go mad if he saw it. If I am destined to die tonight, then just like in my past life, I'll fall and vanish without a trace. When we reached a certain point in the tunnel, I suddenly stood up and grabbed the steering wheel. The piercing sound of brakes echoed through the night sky. The car swerved, heading towards the roadside fence. The world turned into a blur of lights and shadows. Song Xian's angry shouts, the driver's terrified scolding, the incessant honking, and the sudden burst of bright white lights mingled together. In an instant, they filled all my senses. Boom, a loud crash thundered through the heavens. The ringing in my ears drowned out everything else. The car had been stopped by something. After a brief suffocation, I came to, and a strong will to survive made me desperately pull the door handle. Suddenly, someone firmly grabbed my wrist. Turning around, it was Song Xian. A tube was sticking out of his chest. Blood mixed with foam spurted from his mouth. Die with me, will you? I've come this far for you. For you, I've harmed so many people. You cannot leave me. I saw the pleading in his eyes. Tears rolled down one by one. I didn't speak. I pried Song Xian's fingers off one by one, pushed open the door, and walked out numbly. The surroundings were brightly lit. Red and blue lights flashed everywhere. The sound of police sirens, the buzzing of ambulances. It was so noisy I couldn't discern any direction. I limped towards the front of the van. There was a Rolls-Royce. It was sprawled in front of the van, now emitting white smoke. The car was completely unrecognizable. Ah! I let out a dumb, short cry. Blood flowed down, covering one of my eyes. I staggered to the front of the car. I saw a car accident scene just like in my past life. Jiang Yan's car was wrecked. The driver's door was missing. The person was gone too. Terrifying memories surged, and I instinctively ran towards the cliff. Many people rushed up and grabbed me. I fell to the ground. My knees scraped, and I crazily crawled towards the cliff. Apart from the ugly cries, I couldn't utter a single word. Why, even after starting over, is it still the same? Jiang Yan had driven his car, blocking the original path of the van. He died for me. Save people, save people. I pleaded incoherently, struggling frantically in someone's arms. The ringing in my ears made my head ache. The noisy crowd was like garbage, dumped all into my ears. I clutched the ground desperately, my nails lifting, bloodied, until that person forcefully grabbed my shoulders, forcing me to turn around. That's when I saw Jiang Yan, his face covered in blood, kneeling before me. His eyes were red, his mouth opening and closing, but I couldn't hear clearly. My teeth were chattering, my arms trembling, even my skin was quivering, like a hideous, terrifying monster. My fingers were deeply embedded into his flesh. Jiang Yan hugged me, stroking my hair. It took a long time before I could barely make out his words. Go to sleep, I'll sleep it off. But this sleep was far from peaceful. Nightmare after nightmare struck me. One moment I was standing at Jiang Yan's funeral. The next I was lying in the cold, damp earth. Then, I saw Song Xian with his hollow, wide eyes fiercely staring at me. I struggled helplessly, nearly drowning in these terrifying dreams, until suddenly, I surfaced, gasping for air. The glaring lights made it hard to open my eyes, and the ticking of machines filled my ears. Pain shot through my body. My bones felt as if they were broken. When Jiang Yan entered, I was clutching the railing, struggling to keep myself upright. Nearly collapsing headfirst. He called out, dropping the fruits he was carrying. He caught me in his arms. In a panic, I clung to him, comforted by the steady and strong beat of his heart. Only then did the nightmare begin to fade. Gently stroking my hair, Jiang Yan soothed me. Don't worry, just rest a bit more. Wait until you're better. Mom, Dad, and the child, they're all fine. It's just you. His attempt to hide his trembling was unsuccessful. Tears began to soak into my collar. Do you think I could live if you died? My throat was sore and painful from previous screaming, damaging my vocal cords, and I found myself momentarily unable to speak. That day, I followed Jiang Yan closely, not leaving his side. Any small disturbance would frighten me, making me cling tightly to him. Eventually, he had no choice but to curl up in bed with me, holding me as we fell asleep. A week later, I began to talk again. By then, I was feeling much better, though my speech was still somewhat sluggish. Turning on my phone, I saw that the news was dominated by the deaths of Song Xian and Song Jingping. Song Xian died in a car accident, Song Jingping of illness. Overnight, the Song family crumbled to pieces. Below, fans mourned their loss. The turbulent undercurrents hidden beneath this facade of peace were unknown to anyone. This triggered the reopening of numerous old cases, awaiting proper investigation and resolution. Not long after the incident, Jiang Yan acquired all the industries under the Song family, climbing into the top 10 of this year's most influential billionaires list. Overnight, all suspicions about Jiang Yan disappeared without a trace. In a way, the Jiang family had become a truly low-profile yet vast business empire. I often found myself staring out the window, lost in thought. Memories of Song Xian would occasionally resurface, pulling at my nerves. For those of us who grew up in an orphanage, our reliance on emotional bonds is often much stronger than usual. The pleasant memories of my childhood are my most treasured possessions. Song Xian always said I betrayed him, but didn't he betray me as well? I packed up Song Xian's belongings and, before his cremation, I asked Jiang Yan to deliver them to the funeral home. Those little objects disappeared into the flames, vanishing from this world. The day I was discharged from the hospital, the weather was perfect. I was playfully angry with Jiang Yan because when I sang happy birthday to him, my voice sounded like a duck, which made him try to hide his laughter by quickly bowing his head. I felt like he was laughing at me. When the Secretary General came to pick me up, I stood in the wind wearing a fluffy hat, my face cold, vowing never to speak to Jiang Yan again. Suddenly, a gentle voice reached out. "Hello, sir. Did you drop this handkerchief?" Jiang Yan and I turned around together. We saw a beautiful lady holding Jiang Yan's handkerchief. He nodded politely. "Yes, that's mine, thank you." The girl blushed, about to pull out her phone, but upon catching my gloomy gaze, she suddenly realized something. Muttering an apology, she hurried away. I opened the car door and got in. Jiang Yan followed, asking, "Hee, what would you like to eat tonight?" Mockingly mimicking his tone, I retorted, "A handkerchief, thanks." Jiang Yan paused, then turned to face the window, covering his mouth with his hand. Minutes later, my angry voice filled the car. "Jiang Yan, how dare you laugh? Try laughing one more time." "Alright, no more laughing." No laughing." When Jiang Tuanzi was born, he looked like a little monkey. I held Jiang Yan's face more than once, repeatedly checking. "You haven't had plastic surgery, have you?" Jiang Yan, holding a milk bottle in one hand and supporting my lower back with the other, charmed me with his profound eyes. "Hee, the doctor said the child will look better as he grows." Jiang Yan learned parenting more thoroughly than I did. That month, he tirelessly took care of Tuanzi. After the first month, the child grew up a bit. I could vaguely see Jiang Yan's features in his face. Finally, my anxious heart was put to rest. In a blink, Tuanzi was 3.5 years old. Calculating the time, in my past life, Jiang Yan and I only lived to this age. Remembering the overwhelming online ridicule Jiang Yan faced back then felt like another lifetime. I thought Jiang Yan's love letters would remain a secret in my heart, but one morning, this matter was unexpectedly leaked online. Jiang Yan, overseas, received a call from his company's public relations department. "President Jiang, Miss Wan is trending." In the video, I was ranting in a bar while Jiang Yan was not home. Our Jiang Yan, despite his cold and detached appearance, secretly writes love letters. "No way, let me sneak one out for you to see." Netizens were placing bets in the comments. "I bet 50 cents she's bluffing. I'll wager $1 she can get it." 20 minutes have passed. Did she get the love letter? Hashtag can Wani get the love letter hashtag became a trending topic, and it was rapidly climbing. At this moment, I was unaware that I was trending, busy turning Jiang Yan's study upside down. I had found it here in my previous life. Why wasn't it here now? I was frantically searching, left and right. Just as I was about to reach under the desk, the study door suddenly opened. A tall silhouette blocked the light. I quickly rose from under the desk, eyes wide, staring at Jiang Yan, whom I hadn't seen in half a month, frozen stiff. "Hee, what are you doing?" Jiang Yan's tone was very calm, devoid of the warmth of a long-awaited reunion. I grabbed Tuanzi, who looked utterly confused next to me, pushing forward. I honestly admitted, "She did it, and I was just cleaning up the mess." Jiang Tuanzi, with his toothless grin, called out in a baby voice, "Daddy." Jiang Yan naturally picked up Tuanzi, glanced at the open safe, and raised his eyebrows slightly. "Tuanzi is really smart. Even knows the password." "Yeah, haha." I laughed awkwardly and watched in despair as Jiang Yan handed Tuanzi over to the nanny. As the nanny left, she kindly closed the door behind her. I heard Hee went to the bar while I was away. I was doomed. Could he possibly know about my comments on the handsome guy? Just as I was about to discreetly slide under the table, Jiang Yan effortlessly pulled me out from under it, and placed me on the table, with a click. His watch came undone and fell into the chair. Terrified, I immediately confessed, "Sorry, I just took a glance," and politely complimented them. Jiang Yan paused and asked softly, them, you're quite daring. I was completely terrified and confessed everything in a panic. I came to steal love letters. His fiery kiss fell upon me, silencing my incessant chatter. Did you manage to steal them? Jiang Yan's husky voice made my whole body go weak. Leaning against his shoulder, I said, I don't know where they are, and after you steal them, I remembered the questioning look in my best friend's eyes. They are to be shown to someone else. Jiang Yan's low chuckle sounded in my ear. Some things aren't meant to be shown to others. You're lying. I've seen them myself. My words suddenly stuck in my throat. In this life, everything has changed. In the past life, despite such cold treatment, Jiang Yan's love letters were deeply affectionate. Who knows what he could turn them into now? Realizing something was amiss, I said, I won't look anymore. That won't do. Jiang Yan held me and brought me in front of a cabinet. The surface clearly reflected my sweaty face. I covered my face, embarrassed. Don't, I won't look anymore. It's too late. Jiang Yan opened a hidden compartment, and a mass of letters poured out. He casually opened one and placed it in my hand. I love you so much. As I read the words, my face burned red. Pervert, I won't read anymore. I won't. But Jiang Yan wouldn't let me go, holding my chin, his voice gentle. I've wanted this for a long time. Will you read it out loud? In my panic, I slapped him. The moderate force made Jiang Yan laugh. If you like, we can do it this way too. Good, try again. You can hit harder. Jiang Yan, you pervert. Let me go. I told you, you can't escape. Looking at other handsome guys behind my back, that's an added crime. That day, he locked me in the study for 24 hours. After that, I never mentioned the love letters again. Later, when the media asked me in an interview, Miss Wan, where exactly are those love letters? This time, I wasn't as spirited as before. Facing the camera, without blinking an eye, I quickly responded, what love letters? I was just bragging, really.